Yo, yo, yo. I'm back again. I mean, you guys just cannot get enough of me, or maybe I can't get enough of you. Why is my camera always crooked? I don't notice it till I go on go on live, and then I got to adjust it live. I'm telling you. There. Okay, let's see if it'll stay there this time. All right. Hey, welcome to Aaron Live. I know you're saying, gee, Aaron, we just saw you for 3 straight days. Why are you doing an Aaron Live right on the heels of an Aaron Con? Well, because I've got stuff left over from Aaron Con that I didn't finish last night. So I can't extend Aaron Con an extra day. That would be unethical. But I can do an Aaron Live whenever I want. And so that's tonight. So what's the difference? The difference is I'm not going to be showing you my table. I'm not going to be trying to sell you stuff. Of course, you can always get a sketchbook. The banner's, running right there. But tonight, I'm going to draw until I get every sketchbook done and finish up the remainder of my commissions. Excuse me, a little barbecue steak there coming up. So, I mean, that's it. It's just going to be drawing and me being as incredibly entertaining as I always am, or lack thereof. Let's see. Hey, got 7 people already. We're ready to rock and roll. Stephen Ing says he can't miss this one. Yeah, well, because I'm drawing one in his book, and I think I'm drawing in Rodney's book. Benjamin Lee, hello from cold but not rainy Seattle. Well, it's cold here, and it's not raining either. Although actually, I don't think it has rained today. It's threatening to, though, again. So I'm not optimistic about taking the dog out tomorrow morning. Anyway, hey, did you guys, if you follow me on Twitter or if you follow me on Facebook, check out what I posted today, because I posted the 2-page Shazam Snickers ad that I did. Norm Rapman inked it and Brian Miller at Hi-Fi colored it. It looks fabulous. And sure, it's just a 2-page Snickers ad, but it still looks fabulous. So it's going to be running through all the DC books, I guess, starting this week. So I was kind of thrilled to do that. It's not quite as cool as doing a Hostess Pie ad, which, I grew up reading in the 70s. Those were the big things, the Hostess Pies or the Hostess Twinkies or whatever, ads with the superheroes. But a Snickers, that's a top 5 candy bar. So I was still thrilled to do it. And I got to draw Shazam, even though it's the modern Shazam, and I would have rather have done the traditional Golden Age, 70s Shazam before he kind of got revamped here for the movies and stuff. But still Shazam. So it was pretty cool. Anyway, so check that out. Well, enough about that. Let's get to work. Okay. There's 15 people watching now. That means there's people wanting to see art happen. And that's what I'm here for. I'm here to make art happen. I don't know Art personally. Well, I do know Art Adams, although he prefers to be called Arthur. So that's kind of like knowing Art. All right. So what I found out yesterday was that Joe the Shark, among other names, bought a sketchbook from me. And he didn't, well, maybe I didn't recognize it, but it didn't seem like he wanted anything in it. But then he made me aware last night during the feed that he actually wanted Lord Pumpkin in there. So that's what we're going to start off with, Lord Pumpkin. Now, if you're saying, who the heck is Lord Pumpkin? Well, as I move the camera again, I'm telling you, man, I seriously need to make more money so I can actually hire someone to do, production on this. Anyway, Lord Pumpkin is an Ultraverse character, Malibu Ultraverse from the 90s. You may or may not remember that. I did a book called Sludge. Imagine me doing a monster book. And one of my co-creations in that book was, with Dan Danko, was Steve Gerber, of course, did a lot of the writing, but not all of it. But the character was actually created by, or at least the idea of the character was created by Dan Danko, and then I sort of fleshed him out, shall we say. And he was a villain in the story. And he became very popular, sort of, within the context of Malibu being popular. And it's kind of everybody's favorite creepy villain. And since we're in October and it's that time of year, I think this is super appropriate. There's nothing, cooler than drawing an expressive, creepy pumpkin character, right? I always drew him with this kind of big underbite, would you call that? Where the lips stick out way more than. He was a very lumpy pumpkin, so I've got to kind of make sure I. Yeah, let's see. If I was looking down, I would be the other way, wouldn't it? We'd see a little bit of the bottom of this, but not the top. That's what we want. And he always was smoldering because he always had a magic candle in his mouth that gave him life. I'm sure there's a specific amount of teeth in his mouth that sort of part of the character design, but I can't remember off the top of my head, so I'm just sort of winging it. Which, being, the co-creator of the character, is pretty much, I think, my right to kind of interpret that any way I want. I'm going to give him kind of a roughly old-fashioned lapel. Something probably, Wrightson would do. Far be it for me to ever be accused of being a Wrightson ripoff. Shelly, what are you doing? My wife's supposed to be in your co-hosting, and she's in the comment section instead. So Joe the Shark and Joe Naftali, stop blabbing. You're gonna have to come in and sub for me when I have to take a bathroom break if it goes too long tonight. So save some of your material. So my wife is bound and determined to provide entertainment value for guys, even if she's not on camera. I think you have to sort of respect that sort of commitment to the whole process. What I should do is create a new pumpkin character for Garbage Man. Oh, wait, maybe I already did. No, I've said too much. And 0.8 is starting to die on me a little bit. What was it that evil Nazi said in oh, for crying out loud. Everybody loves me right when I'm online. What was that great line that, holy crap. From Raiders, the evil Nazi guy goes, a fire, it's dying. I can't remember why I referenced that now. See, the phone rang and it just, well, what are you going to do? Oh, it's. Yes, Shelly, I saw that it was Josh. I can't answer, so I'm going to leave that to your capable parental hands. My son keeps excelling at his job, which is awesome. And of course, he lets us know right when I'm on. I guess I could turn my phone off, but why would I do something like that? Okay, so I'd really love to go in here and drop in some solid blacks, but I can't because it'll bleed through. So we're going to the old crosshatch blacks. So I think will probably end up working out okay. So I went a little bit later tonight simply because I actually wanted to get dinner cooked for a change and eaten before I came on. It is sort of my obligation. When I got married, told Shelly, I said, you do the laundry, I'll do the cooking. And she was like, sounds good to me. So I can honestly say that in 28 years of marriage, I don't actually think I've done one load of laundry without at least quite a bit of help, which in other words means I really didn't do anything. So in fairness to her, though, she did cook when I worked at CrossGen because she wasn't working then. So she had a little bit more time on her hands, and she did a good job. Not as good as me, but you can't really expect that, can you? Let's see if she's still listening. This way I can still participate and stay in bed. It was relish. No, delish. What the heck? Oh, he did another presentation which went well. Good. Listen to that Bob Ross pencil scratching going on. Okay, so I've watched 3. Yes, thank you. Nice. You're dead to me. I can't remember what I said. Oh, no, I said she did a good job cooking when I was at CrossGen. Maybe she's referring to the part where I said it still wasn't quite as good as mine, but my cooking, but it was still really good. I just grilled some asparagus tonight. That actually turned out really, really well. I don't know if I should share my secret recipe with you or not. I heard some guy talking about soaking the asparagus in like lemon juice before you put it on the grill. I grilled it, and that way it helps keep it moist, but not drying out. So I said, yeah, I'll try that. So I've been doing that, and it actually works really well. It adds a nice little lemony flavor to it. But I didn't have any lemon juice today, so I was like, you know what? I've got some orange juice, and that's citrusy. So why wouldn't it do the same thing? So I soaked it in orange juice, not a ton, and then I added some Italian salad dressing, kind of really mixed it up in there good. And then I added onion powder, garlic powder, and salt. And I'm telling you, it turned out pretty good. I'm a regular tin chef, not quite an iron chef, but I'm a tin chef, and I think that's something to write home about. Can you do Chinese cooking? Yeah, I order it. No, I wish I could. I should really challenge myself a little bit to do that. I've done sweet and sour chicken before, but everybody gets ticked off of me because I put pineapple in there because I love pineapple. And I put pineapple and Marciano cherries in with it, which I think makes it really good. And then, everybody complains. So I haven't really done anything else. But I wouldn't mind doing some kung pao chicken, which I haven't had in a long time, but it used to be my favorite dish. But our son's allergic to peanuts, so that kind of went off the menu once he came into the picture. But yeah, I have not really conquered Chinese cooking yet. Can handle Italian very well. I do a good Parmesan chicken, and I did chicken cacciatore not long ago for the first time, and it turned out really well. So Tim Sale tried my cooking. He loves it and asked me for my recipe. Well, okay, so if there ever is another Seattle con, and Seattle hasn't been burned to the ground by rioters and lack of police protection, you'll have to bring some of your renowned Chinese food with you to the show and let me try it. Philip Tan and I used to talk about cooking all the time at shows. We'd go out to dinner, with a bunch of people from DC, and he and I would be talking recipes and stuff. But his girlfriend, I guess now wife, does all the cooking. So I've really been kind of disappointed with his kitchen performance over the last several years. I know, Rodney. I'm making everybody hungry, so it's like I'm like a Burger King commercial at the wrong time, right? You're like, that really sounds good right now. I don't know if Burger King actually ever really sounds all that good. Now, I don't hate Burger King. A lot of people do, but I haven't had it in a long time because we were. I took my son up when he was like, I don't know, 12, 13, maybe to the Seattle show. Back before it was when it was across from the Mariners ballpark, and on the way up, we stopped at Burger King, right? And I don't know, the middle of the night, he just starts ralphing up all over the place. My son was notorious for not being able to make it to the bathroom before he started throwing up, which used to just really infuriate me because I had obviously quite a mess to clean up. But my daughter always made it to the bathroom before she got sick. My son never did. But anyway, so he got sick on Burger King. So I don't think I've ever eaten there since. Certainly not with him. He won't eat there. But I always kind of like that flame broiled, burger action. I do really like Carl's Jr. though, I have to admit. Well, we'll see, Benjamin. We'll see how good your cooking actually is, and then, and how much actually of it you provide me, and then of course, then I'll determine how much of a discount I may be willing to offer you on a commission. The proof is in the pudding, as they say. Oh my gosh, we went to a German restaurant for our anniversary, and it was really good, really good. But they had a couple of my favorite desserts are strudel, and bread pudding is maybe my favorite dessert of all time. And they had both on the menu, so I was like, oh my gosh! So we got a piece of each. Took it home, and shockingly, have you ever had German strudel that wasn't good? I mean, it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great. But the bread pudding was unbelievable. And I think Shelley pointed out they use cinnamon rolls to make the bread pudding. Holy Moses, that was good eating, folks. So yeah, I'm a big bread pudding guy. that little New Orleans jazz kitchen on the Disney Walk, downtown Disney, outside the actual park there in Anaheim. They have bread pudding, and it's quite good. But you have to they only serve it after 11 o'clock a.m. So it's like if you're there for breakfast and you're picking up beignets and you're like, hey, can I get some bread pudding for later on? They're like, no, you can't. You have to come back at 11. And by that time, I'm in the convention center, right? So it's like I can't go back at 11 and walk all the way over there to get bread pudding. So I have to find someone who will go do it for me. And that usually involves free commissions and things. So there is ways to get free art out of me. Ooh, scary, baby. Scary. That's the only kind of sucky thing about this sketchbook is this paper. I mean, it's heavy paper. It's not like it's crummy paper, but it does bleed through. So I don't, people want Batman or something like that in here with a lot of blacks. I have to crosshatch all of it instead of just laying in solid blacks, which, like I've said before, it gives it kind of a sketchy feel, but it'd be a lot easier just to go ahead and lay the blacks in. Well, I think my 0.8 has seen better days. I'm going to punch up these lines a little bit here. They seem a little bit on the thin side to me. And there we have another one. My son making a comment about that the Lakers won the NBA title, and then with a barf emoji after it. Yeah, we're not big Laker fans up here in Portland for obvious reasons. Yeah, free art generally involves food with me. So, or old comics. If you want to get free art, those are the two best ways to do it. All right, let's see what we got there. Oh, I don't know. I think that's fabulous, really. I think it is. I think it's so fabulous. I'm going to sign it, and we're going to move on to the next adventure. Oh my gosh! Not just one message, but multiple messages. All right, so there we go. Lord Pumpkin, yay! With a bunch of cross hatching. He sent me 7 messages. Are you kidding me? That's pretty funny. I'm just going to tell him I'm online again right now. Check with you later. Check with you later. Boom. How come the only time my kids want to talk to me is when I'm doing something? Okay, there's my hands and my knees. So someone is trying to reach you about your car's warranty. Yeah, well, isn't that the truth? All right, Joe the Shark and Joe Naftali, who apparently are one and the same person, Love it. And that's what you want to do. You want to please the person that commissioned you to do it, right? All right. So now we go back to the bat book. If I can find it. Oh, here it is. Excuse my reach. Ladies and gentlemen, the bat book. This was given to me as a present from DC Comics. It was a Christmas present. It was very cool. And I'm still using it years later. All right. So let's see here. Okay, wait a minute. He was back here because I thought he just wanted a signed one, but now he gets one with a sketch in it. Okay, next, Stephen Ing. Okay. Does anybody know who Janice Bell is? Gen. Is that like some sort of Captain Marvel character? Someone requested that, and I have no idea who that is. So I'm going to have to find out quick. But right now, I'm going to sort of recreate an image from an old war. Although I'm going to dig it up. And thanks to my wife's advice last time, I've got another open window over here so I can search it out. I type in, if I were a man, I would join the Navy. Oh, gee, I wish I were a man. There it is. Okay. That's the look we're going for, and that's what we're going to do. I love how you guys are collecting books just to get sketches in them. It's fabulous. I'm all for it. I actually enjoy doing these. I didn't think I would, but I really do. Okay, so let's see. It's got a bit of an angle here. I mean, obviously, it's not going to look exactly the same, but it's going to be the same. Oh my gosh! All right. That was my son responding to me, telling him that, hey, I'm online. Okay. All right. So, gee, I wish I were a man. I'd join the Navy. Of course, now you don't have to be a man to join the Navy, right? But of course, back in whenever this was, be a man and do it. United States Navy Recruiting Station. Oh, I love that. Gee, I wish I were a man. I'd join the Navy. And then it says, be a man and do it. You know what? You know how I did the Rosie the Riveteer print? Oh, come on. You know the one. That one right there. Huh? I should redo this. I think I'm going to. And put on it, gee, I wish I were a man. I'd join the Navy. And see how many people I'd piss off if I do it. I'm going to do it. I am. You heard it here, folks. I'm doing it. Wow. That was scary. This really looks like it'd be a World War I poster. Actually, the famous Uncle Sam poster by, that guy who did it, Montgomery Flagg. That was a World War I poster. I never realized that. I thought it was a World War II poster, but it originally was a World War I poster. It's more like a Gilligan's Island Navy hat than it actually does a. Okay, enough of that foolishness. I am going to do this. I'm going to do a print of this. I just think that it's too funny not to do. And I can put it right up with the. How many women are? How many women who identify as feminists will come up and just rip me for that? But gosh darn it, I'm doing it. Just silent your phone during the live video. Yeah, okay, you've got all the answers, don't you, Benjamin? I have 4 sketchbooks already, getting my 5th tonight. You know, you could have like a whole bookcase full of my sketchbooks. People come in and go, what? You go, oh, but look. And you open it up and everyone has a different sketch inside. How many do you think you've done? How many sketches in these sketchbooks do I think I've done? Well, I know I've sold, I'm over 200 now. And my guess is that probably, well, the ones I sold in Chicago, I didn't do any sketches in. And then I sold some to Bedrock City for them to sell for me anyway, with nothing in them. So that's probably, I would say there's probably, I probably have done 100, at least 150, maybe 160 sketches in these things. But, you know, what they have done is afforded me reasons to do live streams, because obviously you're not going to do a live stream unless you're actually drawing. And these are things I can do relatively quickly. So, you know, I can change subject matter quickly so, you know, people don't get bored, hopefully. And, but yeah, I would be willing to bet that I've done probably 160 sketches. There we go. I want kind of, I don't want an angry girl. She's happy because she wants to join the Navy. Man, if I joined the Navy and got sub duty, I would not survive. You know, and I don't think they let you wimp out either. You know, if you join, it's kind of like, yeah, you're doing sub duty, pal. Like, no. Seriously, I would go insane. I'm thinking being stuck on a boat for like a long, long period of time would be bad enough. But at least you get some air. Man, I'm freaking myself out thinking of being stuck on a sub. This has got to be World War I. It's got to be. Stephen, you're there. I know you're one. This is my 3rd one. As long as I come up with a neat idea, I'll ask for it. Oh, I don't believe in safety, Andrew. I think we should just have cons. What the heck? Roll the dice. If you don't want, you know, if you're afraid of getting sick, then that's fine. You shouldn't, or I should say, if you're concerned about getting sick, you don't go. And then let those of us who don't care. I mean, I do care. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'd wear a mask or whatever. But I mean, this is what I can tell you. I take vitamin C, vitamin D, and and zinc, pardon me, every day. And I usually am not a person who gets sick. And this coronavirus was breaking out right when I went to Chicago, because it was quite the talk of the town. And everybody was like, oh, you know, no one was shaking hands and any of that kind of stuff. I flew through Seattle where it was breaking out, right? And And then coming back from Chicago, I had to spend the night in the airport in Seattle where it was breaking out, and came back, thank goodness, came back healthy. So, but yeah, I think we should start up cons again. I just don't think, I think you can slow the spread, but I don't think you can stop the spread. So it's kind of like, we all just sort of prolonging the inevitable. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. I mean, obviously, if you're someone that's might be, in a risk group, then you'd obviously want to take precautions, and those people should take pretty strong precautions. But I mean, you can't stop civilization forever. So I didn't mean to get off on this tangent, and I apologize for doing that, because that's not even really what you were what the point of your comment was. So back to art. Enough about disease. Lloyd, you served in the Navy? Oh, so it is 1917. So it was the World War I. I figured it was. Looks like a watercolor too. You served in the Navy. Were you on a, Lloyd, were you on a sub? I'm waiting for Lloyd to tell me if he was on a sub or not. I don't know what a sub would smell like. I've only been on a sub that was not. Actually, you know what? The Navy always come for Rose Festival would always send in some ships, so the sailors could have shore leave and all that kind of stuff during the Rose Festival. And one time they brought in a sub, and so we got to they let us tour the sub, and I remember because we'd go through, get a look at somebody's barracks or where they were sleeping or whatever, and they had all these nude pictures of chicks up on the wall, but they had them all covered, so people could come in and not see the nude pictures, but it was clear that's what they were hiding. As a young lad, even I knew that, but that was I don't recall it smelling funky or anything, but I can imagine it would after a while. They probably aired it out, before. Lloyd, he said, yes, I was in the Canadian Navy, and yes, I've been on board a sub. I served for almost 20 years. Wow. It's impressive. Not all on a sub, I would assume, but wow. All right, I need to know. Does anybody out there, other than the collector, do you guys collect old comics, or do you just read new ones? Because I actually don't read that many new comics. I spend all my money on old ones, which maybe not the greatest thing in the world because I'm not really up on what's going on, and I probably should be since I'm drawing them. I was just curious in this day and age if that's really much of a thing anymore. Steven, this was a fun one, man. I'm glad you requested this. But, there we are. Actually, you know what? I'm going to crosshatch a little bit of this navy uniform here this girl's got, since it's really supposed to be a dark blue. The highlight of this evening actually may be me finishing up that toaster in space piece. Okay, there we go. Gee, if only she were a man. Okay. Yeah, for Steven, I did a Kit Carter, but I also did a Tangled was the last thing I did for you, wasn't it? Germany even has a U-boat you can visit and check out. Oh, that's cool. There's in Portland, there's like by OMSI, the Oregon Museum of Science and Industry, they have a sub sitting out there in the water that you can go in. It's like really old. I've been on it a few times, but yeah, it's kind of once you've been in it, The VAT book says this is 202. So there we go. Has anybody answered my Genus Vel question? Yeah, this is, Andrew, that's what we've been talking about. This is based off of a World War I Navy recruitment poster that says, gee, I wish I were a man, I'd join the Navy. And it has this girl in a naval uniform. So that's what this is based off of. Okay, so I gotta figure out who Genus Vel is. Oh, wait a minute, I was supposed to look and see what number it was. I was like reading other things and started talking. I didn't even look. This is 202. Yeah, I said that right. Well, maybe if I wrote it in the book, it would actually. Number 202. Groovy. All right. There you go, Stephen. I want you guys to know that I spent all day up to this point packing art and books from yesterday or from this weekend, and I'm still not. I loaded up my car and then got to the post office and went, oh yeah, it's Columbus Day. It's not open. Well, Andrew says, wow, that's a weird marketing pitch. In 1917, probably not. Howard Chandler Christie was the artist. That is correct. Yes, John, we broke the 200 mark. That was my goal, get 200 of these books sold before the end of the year, and I feel like I did pretty good. And we're not even in the Christmas season yet, so, and we're already over. All right. The Naval Base in Groton, Connecticut has the Nautilus, the first nuclear-powered sub you can tour. But do they have the actual Nautilus from, Mysterious Island and 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea? That's what I want to know. Okay, so still no one's jumping in with the old Genus Vel, so I'm going to search right now. It's got to be some sort of bizarre Captain Marvel character. Oh. Oh, it's Captain Marvel's son, the guy with the short white hair. I drew him for like 4 issues and I didn't even know it. How about that? Heck yeah, I drew him. I'm looking at a picture I drew of him right now. All right, well, this is going to be a little bit tricky because it needs some black spots on his face, but like I said, I can't drop the black in solid, so I'm going to have to, some serious crotch hatching? I don't think so. Cross hatching. Going to be going on this baby. They have a model of the Disney Nautilus that was used in the film on the submarine or on display before you go into the submarine. Okay. Genus Vel. Who's that? You know, that's that's the second guy that asked for a sketch tonight that requested a character I've drawn, and then when they asked for it, I go, I have no idea who that is. And they're like, well, you drew him. And I'm like, what? Oh, yeah, okay. Well, don't weigh me down with the details, man, Oh my gosh. He's got that, Genus Vel's got that sort of Race Bannon haircut look. The interesting, when I did the Captain Marvel issues, I was still working at CrossGen, but sort of knew CrossGen was going under, so I was looking for work through Marvel or DC, and Marvel was the one that was aggressively pursuing me, if you can call it that. And well, after I made contact with them, they seemed to be the most interested, I guess. And so while I was working at CrossGen, as it was slowly sinking, I would be working on CrossGen pages during the day, and then I would go home and work on Captain Marvel at night. And so I was literally for 6 months, I was doing 2 pages a day, 7 days a week. It was freaking brutal. But I did it. And then I would start, after a while, you started to realize that CrossGen stuff was just, it was just days before the Titanic sunk, so to speak. So I would be bringing my Captain Marvel pages in to work at DC, or pardon me, at CrossGen, and doing those. Because they were giving me like, here, do Lady Death or whatever. So I did like an issue or 2 of Lady Death, and I was just doing some really bizarre things just to sort of keep me busy. Yeah, those were strange times back then. Let's see. So I want to ask you to draw them a self-portrait. No, because I won't do it. Oh, I see, Randy. Thank you. On display, there's a submarine museum. Uh, um, has anyone ever asked me to do a portrait of themselves? No. Maybe not in one of these books, but they have before it shows, and I'm just like, no. I said, I really, I like, serious. If you want, if you want a caricature or something, go to the beach and get one of those people to do it. But um, I the thing about doing portraits is people get a little sensitive about how they look or how you interpret how they look. So you have to be really careful, and it's just something I'd rather avoid. If I have, I'll do it at home, but I'm not going to do it at a show because it's just too hard to do it and have it look good, or at least look like the person it's supposed to look like. I did do an Indiana Jones in somebody's book, which I wish I hadn't, because it was a lot of work, but it turned out pretty good. I mean, considering it's a sketch in a sketchbook and you had to do it on your lap, or on my lap. I actually kind of liked this version of Captain Marvel, like Captain Marvel's son. I kind of liked the design. I thought it was kind of cool. Now, mine was when I did those Captain Marvel issues, they were done. Um, they were done only in my pencils because the book, I guess, wasn't selling well enough. They couldn't pay an inker, so I had to do super tight pencils and fill in the blacks, and then they would scan them and I guess what they call digitally ink them, which essentially just means they darkened up the lines, right? I once asked Matt Kent to draw me a picture of myself because I really like the way he draws people in the comic books, and it turned out well. Well, there you go. I mean, some people are really adept at that, and other people, like myself, can do it, but it's more of a chore. And drawing's supposed to be fun, right? Okay, so check this out. There. That was me. That's not me. That's me drawing Janice Vell. And so I got a guy going, hey, can you draw Janice Vell? And I'm like, who the heck is that? Well, there he is. And that's actually drawn from my pencils. So I filled in all those black areas, with pencil, right? And I have most of these pages, and actually there's a lot of good pages in there. But who cares about Captain Marvel, right? At least his version. But yeah, they were all penciled. And then I sprayed them with a fixative, right, that just smelled. And then I didn't have time to let them air out for 2 or 3 days. So I put them in the box. And they said they'd open it up at Marvel and the fumes would just, fill the whole office. They're like, gee, man, you're killing us. I was like, well, yeah. So anyway, that's my Janice Marvel. That's right. Chris Cross did worked on the stuff before me. I mean, the book I think had canceled. They're like, hey, can you do these last 4 issues or whatever it was, which I did. And then from that, I moved on to Excalibur with Chris Claremont. We did like 13 issues or whatever of that. And then after that, I was kind of bouncing around for all over the place. But I did have I did have the Planet Hulk stuff, and then of course the lengthy run on Ms. Marvel before I jumped ship. I think the Captain Marvel book was an experiment to see what it would look like. I don't know. I mean, maybe. I don't have any sort of. I think it was to save money, to be honest with you. But I can't remember specifically if that, if anybody ever said that to me, or I just assumed that. But I really want to say that maybe somebody did tell me that I asked them, well, how come there's no inker? And I was like, oh, because it's not budgeted to have an inker or something of that nature. So, but I could be wrong because it was a few years ago, and I just honestly, I don't remember for certain. So it's not a hill I am willing to die on, shall we say. Okay, so I'm going to indicate some shapes here, and I'm going to fill in with black. And how are we going to do that? Well, we're going to cross-hatch the crap out of it. And then I got to put little stars in there. Yes, I worked for Dark Horse. I worked for Dark Horse a lot. Never for an extended period of time, but over the years I've worked on various projects for them. They published Power Cubed, my creator-owned project, miniseries in the trade paperback. That did not sell well at all, but got good reviews. So there. But I don't really think it was a Dark Horse book, so I didn't give myself the best chance to succeed, I don't think. Yeah, so, and I did a Conan story, which I'm actually quite proud of, that I wrote and penciled, that Matt Banning inked quite nicely in Dark Horse Presents a couple years ago. And I did some Xena newspaper. Well, they had a Dark Horse, what am I trying to say? They had Dark Horse had its own little sort of newspaper strip thing that you could get for free, I think, at comic shops that had like daily comic strips in them, but they were color. And I did some Xena ones for that I wrote. And they weren't particularly great. I felt like the art probably was not as good as it should have been. I was ticked to myself. But I was inking it, and I was still sort of figuring out how I wanted to ink myself, so it was sort of uneven. Yeah. Seems to me I've done some other things that perhaps I can't think of off the top of my head. Oh, I did a 2-page, they had a mask special. And they had just a ton of artists, doing little segments. And so I wrote and penciled and inked a little 2-page segment for that was actually turned out pretty well. I kept it, actually. I kept the 2 pages. Again, not that people are breaking down the door to buy mask pages, but it turned out so well, I just wanted to keep it. So I did. It's always hard kind of when you get characters like this, kind of figure out where you want to put the black and where you want to leave, some highlights or something. because it really does sort of define the look of the face as to where you're going to put the blacks and where you're not. And that's why colorists are always can be very dangerous people when they go in and start modeling over on your face and they don't do it right and it changes the look of the person's face. That is a major pet peeve of mine. But as I've said before, I used to hate inkers. Now I hate colorists. Because colorists are the last line, and they can either make your stuff look really good or they can ruin it. And I shouldn't say I hate all colorists, because there's some really good ones that I've worked with. But I guess maybe the best way to say it is I fear colorists, because I never know what they're going to do. But guys like Brian Miller on Hi-Fi, who I've worked with extensively, knows exactly what I want to do and always comes through with some really cool stuff. So I have total confidence in Brian when he colors my stuff. And Brad Anderson is really, really good. And he's always done good work over me. And I can't think of anybody. I don't really, that's my biggest problem, is I should keep track of who inks, or pardon me, who the colorists are out there, and I don't really do that. So I'm not really sure, who's doing what. Laura Martin's quite good, although I don't think we've ever worked together. The person that colored my Infinity no, not Infinity War, Infinite Crisis, Dark Multiverse book that I did, I thought did a really good job. Got all that cross-hatching, man. No, Nye Ruffino, I don't know who that is. I love Dave Stewart stuff. I've never he was always working on Mignola or whatever, so he was always busy. The really good colorists are kind of like the really good inkers. They're always working on Batman or something. So you're like, it's like Danny Mickey, right? I know Danny really well, and we actually like working together. But the problem is I never work on projects big enough for him. So so we rarely work together. But I love his stuff. Norm Rapman does a really good job. Obviously, I love Matt Ryan's stuff because he's the guy I work with all the time. I would work with more inkers, but the problem is once you have someone that's sort of, you've partnered up with, which is the case with Matt Ryan. If I were to say, Matt, I want Norm Rapman to ink this one issue, or I'm going to go work on this, and I want Matt Ryan or Norm Rapman to do this series, or Danny Mickey or whatever. And then what happens is you dump your inker, they go hook up with somebody else, and then Norm or Danny Mickey or whoever gets offered a better job, and so then they dump you, and then you don't have a good inker. So that's why once I got Matt back and working with me regularly again, I just don't use anybody else, because I know the other guys, and all of them, absolutely every single one of them has done it to me, has worked with me on something and then bailed on me because they got a better job. And on one end, you can't, if someone's going to offer you Batman, it's kind of hard to say no. I'd rather work on Metamorpho, but it's happened to me enough that it's not worth the risk, right? So I stick with Matt. He does a really nice job, and I don't have to worry about anything. Although I did ask for Norm to do the Snickers ad, because it was only a 2-page thing, and I was doing it concurrently with something else that Matt was already inking, and I knew Matt would not want to double up. So that was easy to give to Norm, and Norm did a terrific job because he always does. And Danny Mickey is inking a Garbage Man piece. If you've not seen me post some of it, on Twitter or Facebook, or even check out the YouTube video I did of it. It's spectacular, quite frankly. And that'll be, I don't know exactly how I'm going to use it yet, but that's going to be in the Garbage Man trade collection that'll be coming out next year. But those are really the only things I can work with those guys on, is pinups or a cover or something here and there. Although I don't really get them to do covers because I ink my own covers. Because that's the only time I have a chance to ink myself. Because I am not anywhere near fast enough to pencil and ink my own book every month. Peter Swiegerwald. I don't know who these. I assume those are colorists. Oh, J. Scott Campbell's colorist is Nia Ruffino. But the thing I would say is that I would be willing to bet that J. Scott Campbell and I prefer different styles of coloring. I am not a big fan of this kind of glowy, really saturated color that a lot of people do and a lot of people like. I do not. And so someone who colors, a really big name artist and does a really nice job on them may not be what I'm looking for either. So very finicky I am. The funny thing is I'm much more open to different inking styles, but I just don't like coloring that overpowers the line work. I don't really feel that's the job of the colorist. It should be to complement the line work, not to overpower it. And more often than not, it ends up getting overpowered. And then you put all this work into the drawing, and the inker puts all this work into the line work and everything, and then you can't even see it because it gets saturated with color. I was going to put in stars in here, but I don't think I am, because there's so much, with the cross hatching and stuff, it's not really going to work. So we're just going to do that. Let's take a look, shall we? Man, you guys are really making me work today. Oops. There we go. All right. All right, Lepresti 2020 seems like a good year. We all know it's not. What are you trying to say? That's a lot of cross-hatching, it is. What are you trying to say? About what? What are you trying to say? He asked me that twice. Sometimes he does his own coloring, but if he wants to get more detailed, he'd ask, what colorists do you dig? I don't know any of their names. What am I trying to say? I don't know what you're asking me. What am I trying to say? I think I've come right out and said it. I prefer understated coloring. I'm not saying that people that heavily render coloring that's wrong. I'm just saying I don't like it over my stuff. Okay, that's number 203. Okay, next we have Kit Carter coming up. One of my creations, of course. There's Captain Marvel again, or one of the inclinations of Captain Marvel. That's a lot of work, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. It was also a group from the 70s. Let's take a water break, shall we? Excuse my arm. Did I say I'm going all night if I have to finish this stuff? Because I'm going all night if I have to finish that stuff. 203. Lloyd, you're keeping track. I'm not, but you are. Okay. So what did I write? Did I not write 203 in there? Now you got me. Did I put 202 in there? Holy crap, I better not have. No, it's 203. All right, I'm good. All right, so we're going to knock that one off. So now we go with Brian Tidwell, Kit Carter, Space Vixen. No, I'm sorry, she's a Galactic Ranger. And she has a monkey as a sidekick. Well, she doesn't have a monkey. Her partner's a monkey. Okay, Kit. What am I going to do with Kit? I know what I'm going to do with Kit. Speaking of Kit, I got episode 8. I mean, just, is it 8? Might be 9. Just like penciled, sitting over there. And I need to get it finished so I can get it lettered and up on my website. But of course, Warren Montgomery, local Portlandite, does the lettering for me. So he's probably anxious to do it. And I'm actually a pretty good, I don't want to say boss, but a pretty good employer. I pay immediately upon completion. So he gets the lettering done, and like within 5 minutes, I've sent him his payment over PayPal. I'm that way on eBay too. It always seems to me that once you win the auction, right? I mean, you obviously know what you're bidding and what you're going to pay for it. And you clearly have the money or you wouldn't be bidding on it. So why wait 24, 48 hours, whatever, to pay? If you're sitting there watching, if you're out of town or you're not watching, you put in your high bid and you're not watching the bid. But let's face it, most of us when we bid on eBay are there at the end watching to see if we won it or putting in bids at the last minute to try and steal it. So we're there, right? So you win the auction. Why not just pay the guy immediately? Why make him wait a couple days or even till the next morning? Unless they specifically tell you to wait for an invoice. I pay immediately. But I know most people don't for some reason. I don't really understand that. Drawing this giant circle bubble helmet freehand is challenging. Okay, so she has the thing here. Okay. See, there's Warren chiming in. His kid is episode 9. See, he knows. He keeps track of this stuff. Keeps me in line. A reminder, please make sure her helmet is on. Thanks, Brian. Why don't you boss me around a little bit more? Let's see. Oh, I see. Benjamin Lee. Okay, I got it. Let's see. I'm tired. I'm not trying to offend just saying working relationship and personal relationships get strained. Okay, I'm really late to this conversation. You should talk off your socks so you can say this art will rock your socks off. Oh, I see. Uh, Reminder, please make sure. Okay, Brian. Okay, I got it. I got it. What is that pen you were using? It's a Le Pen. Oh, I've worn off the. Where is it? Boom. Le Pen drawing. You can get these on Blix online. Um, it's a technical drawing pen, and it says Stylo Dessin Technique, and then Pluma para Dibujo Tonico. I don't know. Is that French and Spanish? I have no idea. Pigmented ink. So that means it should not wash out. Okay. Shouldn't fade. I started using these because Mark Brooks said, they don't bleed. They don't bleed. He was suggesting to me that the Copics don't make these bleed, and that's not. And what I discovered was it's not so much the pen as it is the paper that you're using, and whether or not the pen soaks into the paper or not. When you're using coated paper, like a lot of times I'll use a slicker surface, it doesn't really, the ink sets on top of the paper. It doesn't really soak into it, so it's more likely to bleed a little bit. So anyway, but I do like them, and so I've been using them, but I still use microns too. I'm always looking for a pen that, okay, this is the one. This is the one that's really great, and I haven't found one that's really great, or at least that for my use has not been really great. But these are good pens. Might use that. Okay, there we go. All right, so I still feel like there's a better angle for this camera to be at than what it's at. I could really get this over my shoulder. That would be. The thing is, I can't get it directly over my shoulder, so I'm always going to approach this a little bit. I'm going to have this tilted at an angle, the drawing. Let's get in here a little closer, shall we? Then I'm going to do that. There we go. I think I saw Mike Miller using that the other day. I couldn't figure out what the brand was. I want to try it. Mike probably got it from me. Mike's, he probably stole that idea from me. Of course, I stole it from Mark Brooks, so, But they're good. I mean, everybody has different, there's that kind of that Ford Chevy kind of thing where, people tell you that Fords are the best trucks ever, and the same people tell you or not the same people, but a different person will tell you that, Fords suck and they only drive a Chevy, so, if you end up having a good experience with a truck or a pen or whatever, you're going to think they're great. If you don't for whatever reason, then you're going to say, oh, these stink. So I think everybody, like I use brush-wise, I use Kolinsky Red Sable Raphaels, and the thing about them is they have really good points on them, but they don't last very long. And there's people that swear by Winsor Newton, and I used to use Winsor Newton exclusively, but then they didn't. Someone told me something, and again, I don't know if this is true or not. They told me that there was one family that hand rolled all the Winsor Newton brushes, and they no longer do it. And so the points on the Winsor Newtons suck, and so you never know if you're going to get a good point or not. And so I quit using Winsor Newtons because they're expensive, because I was getting too many with just lousy points on them. Somebody turned me on. I want to say Hillary Barta turned me on to the Kolinskis, and I really like them. They're not a stiff brush, so they're a really flexible brush, but they have a really excellent point. But like I said, because they're not a stiff brush and they're very sort of flexible, they don't last long. But I look at it this way: if you can get through a 20-page issue, you spend $16 on a brush, and it gets you through an issue, or even if you have to go through 2 of them to get through an issue, you're spending $32 on brush, for 22 pages. That's not that bad of an investment, honestly. So, but again, that's, how much life do you want to get out of your brush? That could be an issue for somebody who doesn't have the budget to keep buying brushes all the time. But I do like their points of their brushes. So, and they're really good when they're fresh. But like I said, they do go bad much quicker than the Winsor Newtons do. But if your Winsor Newton has a crappy point to begin with, then you're kind of screwed before you even get started. Well, I get no, they're not. The Kolinskis Brian's asking if the Kolinskis are expensive. Not really. They're about $16 a piece for number 2, $16.99 if you buy them online at Blix. And the Winsor Newtons are $18 to $21 or $22. At least they used to be for that size. So I think they're cheaper than the Winsor Newtons. Although I haven't priced out a Winsor Newton in a long time. Because the Kolinskis, I used to get them for they were $9.99, $10 a piece if you bought, I don't know, 6 of them or something. And so they weren't particularly, I don't think they were particularly expensive, relatively speaking, at least compared to the Winsor Newtons. But you'd have to do a direct price comparison, because I really haven't in a long time, because I'm just used to using them, so I just go ahead and get them. My feed keeps blinking in and out. Well, I shouldn't say keeps doing it, but it has on a couple occasions. I don't know what the heck's going on, man. Okay, Kit's rocking and rolling. It's a nice face anyway. Let's see if I can do at least a reasonable job on the helmet. Because Brian demands that the helmet be on. So I always draw with the helmet on. That's part of the space girl look. Now, she doesn't always have her helmet on in a comic, because she's not always out in space, but yeah, okay, that's not bad. Okay, so this back here is her oxygen tube that connects from her oxygen tanks. And she's got her little thing here that's essentially her voice box communicator thing. And then up here, she's got her little antenna. And I really don't know what that does, but it looks very sci-fi. So anyway, there she is. Let me do a little bit of line work here. Like I've said before, I don't like to put a lot of line work on the women's faces because I think it detracts from their beauty. Although I don't mind doing it on guys because who cares? They're not supposed to be beautiful. They're supposed to be manly and rugged. Because if I were a man, I'd join the Navy. I'll go ahead and erase this extra bubble. I don't usually erase the lines off here because, you know, it's a sketch, right? So you want the whole part of the process in here. Okay. There you go, Brian. It's Kit Carter. Actually, one of the better ones I've done. Let's see. Brian Tidwell says, I only have an inkling of this from my miniature painting days. Super nerdy. Nice sketch, Aaron. Thank you. Nighthawk Warriors, always quick with the positive comments, and I appreciate it. Keep it up. I remember when Gerhard used to collaborate with Dave Sim as the inker, but then their relationship strained, but I preferred when David Sim inked over his own work. Well, Gerhard, Sim got to a point where he was just drawing Cerebus and that's it. Gerhard was in there actually doing all the backgrounds and stuff too. So he was inking it and doing the backgrounds. So, which is kind of old newspaper comic strip way. You know, the guy would go in and do the faces or whatever and the figures, and then let the assistant go in and do all the grunt work. Kit Carter drawing reminds me of futuristic Grace Kelly. Hey, now there you go. Grace Kelly was a little too, in her speaking mannerism, was a little too formal for Kit, but she certainly had the look. If I disappear, it's because I'm watching Gary Shipman's live stream. Well, Nighthawk, you gotta do what you gotta do. Rodney, Kit Carter is so beautiful. She came out great. Thank you. What does Brian have to say, though? This is his. Brian says, that looks great. I think my friend will be very pleased. Oh, that's right. It's not for you. It's for somebody else. Lloyd, thank you. 204. I don't even have to look it up. Lloyd will keep me on track here. 204. All righty. He was talking about the brushes. Yeah, that's what I thought. Stephen Ing says, that's nice, Kit Carter. Thank you. What Stephen's saying is, that's nicer than the one you did for me. I don't remember. Is it? It probably is. No, I feel bad. You have to send me your book back and I'll do you a new one. Okay. All right. So I've got one more book here, which means I planned ahead and took out all the books that I was supposed to get. Okay, now what I'm going to do here is something that I don't ever do and I'm never going to do again. But somebody talked me into doing two heads in here. So they're going to be smaller, so I'm not going to put any more work into it than I would. But they're sort of a tandem, so I kind of get the request. But don't be requesting two characters in a book because I'm not going to do it ever again. But I am doing it for this because it makes sense. So this is the other thing. Rodney, who's in here waiting for this, did I not sign it? Warren's like, sign it. See, Warren, like, he's like on top of things, man. Did I not sign it? Oh, I didn't. Yeah. Thank you. Appreciate it. Oh, gosh, that was a terrible signature. Why my pen is dying on me? What the heck is this? This 8 is dead. I'm throwing it away right now. Goodbye. All right. Well, that signature is what it is. You can CGC it because it's live. You saw me sign it. So even if it doesn't really look like my signature, we all know that it was. Okay. Thanks, Warren. I would have shipped that out without signing it. Yeah, I got it. Okay. Oh, Marty's on there too. Marty Myhall, who I went to film school with, is in, and he says, "Aren't you going to sign it?" So everyone's noticing that I didn't sign it, except me. But I did sign it. So now, thanks to you guys, I appreciate you actually paying more attention than apparently I am. Excuse my reach. I need a drink of water. Too much conversation, not enough fluids. Okay, so Rodney Ulabari, and I assume that's how you pronounce his last name, says, "Hey, will you do the I can't remember what they're called now. Oh, the Orphan Sisters." And I'm like, "What the?" I go, "I don't even know what you're talking about, man." He goes, "Well, you designed them," and I'm like, "What?" And he sends me this thing, and it's like when I was on my run of Wonder Woman with Gail Simone, it was like Black Canary takes Wonder Woman, and they become like wrestling. They become professional wrestlers for like an issue or something. And so I designed the costumes for them, and they were like the Orphan Sisters. And I was like, I totally had spaced that, had no idea. So I have to, I sort of have to dig up that, I have to dig up that reference too, because yeah. I remember it now after he showed me the picture, but I was like, oh yeah, I remember that. But I still would not have known that they were called the Orphan Sisters. So without someone actually telling me that. I gotta find there it is. There we are. All right, Orphan Sisters, here we go. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I must have been a wrestling fan at some point because I was like when I was just, up and through when I graduated high school, I kind of followed professional wrestling. My dad was into it and kind of had fun. So that must have been where I got I don't know. Anyway. Okay, so we're doing the Orphan Sisters. One of them is Black Canary. And the other one, of course, is Wonder Woman. Okay. Make sure I get the That's just so funny. Okay, so we have Black Canary as the one Orphan Sister. And then, of course, I like Wonder Woman's head a little bit bigger here since she is, of course, Wonder Woman. Okay. I might draw her a little annoyed because I think Wonder Woman was pretty annoyed through this whole thing. It was really a funny storyline where they went to Japan and everything. And I guess I got to do a splash page of Wonder Woman as a manga model. So it's like the splash page was Wonder Woman as a manga character, but then you cut to the next page and it's actually a model of her that they're looking at in this toy store in Japan. Mighty Marhol, once a pinhead, always a pinhead. That's right, the registration pinheads. That was a film school reference that no one else will get, so don't worry about it. Briefly lost the YouTube feed. Yeah, I know, it's kind of flickered in and out a couple of times. Warren, do you have the audio back yet? You guys can hear me, right now? Someone come in and verify that you can hear me. Okay, Rodney Ulibari can hear me. Okay, all right, good. All right, you guys can hear me now? Okay. Yeah, for some reason the feed's been blipping in and out. It's done it several times since I started this, and I don't know why. It's bringing back Wonder Woman memories. Okay, you want to hear something interesting? You're all like, yeah, Aaron, we've been waiting all night to hear something interesting. Okay, so when I originally was coming over to DC from Marvel, I was supposed to do Power Girl, right? And I had done some promo art for it and everything. And they were in some editorial meeting, and Mike, oh, for crying out loud, Mike used to be the X-Men editor for years. Oh, I can't believe I can't think of his last name. Anyway, he couldn't get the YouTube feed. Okay, so he's saying that everybody can hear me on Facebook, but he can't hear me on YouTube. Well, I don't know what to do. I'm getting a green check mark on both, so I have no idea why that's happening, but very strange. Okay, so anyway, so I was supposed to take over, I was supposed to launch Power Girl. Mike March, yeah, thanks. I can't believe I can't think of his name. Anyway, so in an editorial meeting, they were sitting around talking like, we need to get someone to take over Wonder Woman because Terry Dodson was leaving, right? And so Mike goes, well, why don't we get Aaron Lopresti to do it? He does Good Women or whatever, the argument was. And they were like, oh yeah, duh, why don't we have Aaron take over Wonder Woman? And so they offered it to me, and I was like, I don't know. I said, I don't know if I really want to follow Terry. Everybody knows we're good friends. I don't want this to seem sort of nepotism or whatever, that I'm following Terry and all that kind of stuff. But Mike was like, dude, you get an opportunity to work on one of the big three, you do it. I'm like, all right. So I chose to do it, right? And so I guess then that Power Girl then went to Amanda Conner, right? So then, as a result of Power Girl ended up outselling Wonder Woman, she becomes a star, and here I am. So I'm like, golly, could I make one good career decision in my entire life? Anyway, so that's my whiny story. Not to say that she didn't become prominent because of her own work. I'm just saying that this is how it goes sometimes. Certainly with me, all the time. But Which is weird. You'd wonder why Power Girl would outsell Wonder Woman, but it did. Okay, Lloyd, you're hearing me on YouTube. So yeah, see, I don't know. I think YouTube's got problems. They're coming and going. So good thing I spent the extra money so I could broadcast on both YouTube and Facebook. Now, those of you who may be getting bored and saying, oh, I can't take much more of this, well, the toaster drawing is coming up next, so I don't think you really want to miss that. I know I don't want to miss it. Well, I've been paid for it, so I actually can't miss it. I have to do it. But it's penciled, and, you know, a toaster is, I mean, come on, that you don't want to miss that. Let's see here. Boom. There's a bit of a time lag, but otherwise works fine. Okay. Always go with a book that has Adim Hughes covers. Adim. You mean Adam Hughes covers? You know, there's something to be said for that, although I wanted to do my own covers, right? So, you know, which I did do. Well, I'll tell you, here's the thing. Wonder Woman, regardless of how well she sells, and she really doesn't sell all that well. I mean, she sells okay, but the book generally doesn't sell that well. And, or not like you'd probably think it would. And, but much like the Legion of Superheroes, Wonder Woman has an incredibly passionate fan base. And I sold every single Wonder Woman page I drew. Sometimes before I even drew the issue, I had the issue sold out. So my extra income during that period of time I was working on Wonder Woman was quite good because of all the extra pages I was selling. And that was pretty remarkable. I mean, that fan base for Wonder Woman is really, really ravenous, even if it's not as big as, say, Batman or, you know, Superman or whatever. So that was the interesting thing. I had guys fighting over pages, and it was like guys contacting me. Oh, well, so-and-so contacted me before you. And they're like, oh, you know, I wanted that page. And so it was really, it's kind of like juggling, you know, a couple of really intense buyers, trying to keep everybody happy. It was a chore, but, you know, one that I was glad to undertake since I'm the one who actually got the money for the pages. So, you know, I ultimately didn't really care who was buying it as long as someone was, but you know, I tried to be fair. Yeah, so anyway, there was kind of a, actually at DC, I really got screwed when they canceled Justice League International before they should have, because they didn't cancel it because it wasn't selling well. And that really put me in a spiral because they were doing the New 52 at the time. And you know, every time they canceled the bottom books, they'd launch new books. But obviously after, you know, a couple of launches, you don't have a lot of good characters left because they've already been used in series. So, you know, I went from Justice League to Amethyst, which was actually a pretty good series if you read it, and actually did some really nice work in there as well, I think. But no one read it, and I knew no one was going to read it. And so I just kind of got behind the 8 ball on that New 52 stuff once they canceled Justice League International, which they never should have done, but they did. And I was supposed to take over Superman after Wonder Woman, but it was that crummy Straczynski storyline where Clark Kent Walks Across America that no one read. And in fact, Straczynski quit writing it halfway through, so he didn't even like it. And it was his idea. So, when they told me what the idea was, I was like, oh, there's no way. I said, I'm not drawing this. And so I ended up on Justice League. So if I'd had a good writer doing something interesting on Superman, it could have been a whole nother trajectory, but it wasn't. So yeah, so you tuned in to listen to Aaron whine about his career. I think I'm going to draw Wonder Woman here with kind of a little smirk of annoyance on her face because she is annoyed. She doesn't want to be a professional wrestler. But she let Black Canary talk her into it. We Sergeant Rock fans are almost as passionate as Wonder Woman fans. I think that's probably true. Rodney loved Justice League International. The thing is, most people did because it was the more fun book of the Justice League books. I think the Jeff Johns was writing regular Justice League, and it was pretty serious. And Dan Jurgens was writing International, and it was just it had a fun sort of Silver Age feel to it. And I really had a blast working on that book and was very not happy when they canceled it for political reasons. And but a lot of fans weren't too happy about it either because it was it wasn't a ridiculous, out of control runaway bestseller, but it was selling well. It was solid. We were creating new characters and new villains every issue practically. It was just really felt like, not that I was around in Marvel in the 60s, but that's kind of what it sort of felt like, what it would have been like. Yeah, so Wonder Woman had this like little mask thing that flames on it or whatever. That was really funny. And I think Gail had some line in here about where Black Canary tells Wonder Woman that she has the most famous set of boobs in the DC universe next to Power Girl, and that she should, accentuate them or something in her costume. It was really kind of funny. I still get royalties off of those trade paperbacks from that series. It was like 12 years ago now. But I think the first story arc we did was really, really good. The one with all the barbarians in it, Beowulf and Stalker and Claw the Unconquered. Those were all. Let me do something here real quick, if I may. There they are. Woo! The Orphan Twins. They don't really look like, or the Orphan Sisters, excuse me. They don't really look like sisters, but it's wrestling, so what are you going to do? As you can see, Wonder Woman's heaving bosom there, accentuated by the colorist. Oh, boy. High-end trashy hookers. Who was the woman with the dark hair in the JLI cover one that was replaced by Godiva? Hey, Johnny Fitz is here. Hey, man, thanks for stopping in. Let's see. I got to catch up here. Thank you. Thank you. Keep your chin up, Aaron. You've earned lots of loyal fans in the industry. Always looking for the next hot thing. Lots of creators that broke in around you are out of the business. It's true. You could. Well, I figured if I wasn't going to be a big smash, if I could hang around long enough to be sort of venerable, like Kevin Nolan or somebody, then I would be satisfied. Gail would try to get anybody fired who wrote that into a book now. I don't know. I think she has a pretty good sense of humor about that. I know there's a lot of controversy about Gail. I don't know what any of it is because I've always got along with her really, really well. And, we don't, Gail and I don't see eye to eye probably on anything like socially or politically or whatever, but we just, I've always had nothing but respect from her, and I respect, she's always treated me well, and we've always got along really well, and she's been real easy to work with. So I'm not sure exactly what all this, and I don't really want to know, quite frankly, because I don't want to get involved in it. But Twitter wars tend to be ugly things. Ooh, Johnny, you got to be working at 5 a.m. That reminds me of a story. I had a summer job once. There's this place here in the Portland area called Reese's Fine Foods, and they make like potato salad, macaroni salad, and different kinds of salad that they would sell at, in stores, right, in containers in the, refrigerated section. And the summer before I went down to USC to go to school, at film school, I had to get a summer job so I could earn as much money as possible because we didn't really have much money. So it was like, I hadn't even figured out how I was going to pay for it yet, but I got accepted. So I was like, I'm going. And so I was working my butt off in the summer, trying to earn as much money as I could to help pay for tuition, right? And so I got a job at this place, and it was the main floor where they had these huge vats, right, where we put in the different ingredients and mix up these huge amounts of potato salad and stuff. Then they would funnel out of the mixers into the conveyor line where they would come out the squirter or whatever into the container, and right, to get ready for market. And so I was back in there mixing these things, right, and they would come in, the seasonings would come in these huge bags, which we would just cut open with a knife and pour in these big vats that were mixers. But like the potatoes came cubed already, and they were in the cooler section, but the whole floor was cold, right? It was like 40 degrees or something like that. And so we would dump these huge vats, dump these flats of cubed potatoes into these vats, and then we would do salsa, not in the same mixer, obviously, but they would have these huge oil drums full of the tomatoes, right? Tomato sauce or the tomatoes. And we would have a big winch that would come down. He'd strap this belt around this thing and lift it up and pour it into the vat, and then put the seasonings in and all that kind of stuff, and hit the mixer. And it was hard work, but I had to be there at 5 a.m. every freaking morning through an entire summer. So I spent my entire summer before I went down to school at USC going to bed at like 8 a.m. because I had to be to work by 5. It was tough. So I feel for you, Johnny. That's kind of my the moral of the story there. Oops. Don't want to bend that page. It's always a risk, man, when you have an artist start drawing in one of your books. You never know if he's going to have an oops moment where your book is no longer in near mint condition. That's the risk you take. I always find it interesting that people want, that this kind of fad of getting books signed on the cover, which everybody does now, but I do not do. Now, I don't get many books signed at all because I'm like a collector, and you write on the cover of a book, and it's not worth as much. But especially if you have a near mint book. So when I had people sign stuff, like I had a copy of, or I still have the copy of Captain America 1, I think it's 64, first appearance of Nightshade, where Falcon is like a werewolf on the cover. And it's a great comic because Alan Lee Weiss did the art inside, and it's really good. And but Steve Englehart wrote it, and I was at a con with Steve Englehart, and I knew he was going to be there, so I had him sign it for me. And I knew Steve because I met Steve during our Ultraverse days, and spent quite a bit of time, at conventions and stuff with him. And so I had him sign this one book because we were judging. I think we were at Motor City. We were judging a costume contest or something, and we were sitting there in the audience. And so I brought the comic out and I said, "Here, sign this for me on the inside." I said, "Don't sign it on the cover," even though it wasn't in your mint. But he goes in there and he's sort of just writing, "Best wishes, Aaron," Steve or whatever, Englehart. He wrote this, like, it was like 3 lines all the way across the page underneath the indicia. And I'm like, "What are you doing, writing a book?" And so I have this kind of weird, goofy message that he wrote in there. I can't even remember what it says. I'll have to go back and look at it. But and I had Plug sign some books, some Man Thing books, but I had him do it, or just one. I'm not one of those guys that, has to have every guy sign every issue that he ever drew. But I just had him sign one of his Man Thing comics that I have. And but I have him do it on the inside, not on the cover. That's just how I roll, man. Don't write on the cover. It drives me nuts when people had Stan Lee like sign a copy of Fantastic Four #1 on the cover. I'm like, no. But anyway, that's just me. Well, thanks, Johnny. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you stopping by. Oh, you're interim manager, so you get to like crack the whip on people. That's awesome. You rule with an iron fist, right? And just like, yeah, I'd rather be in charge than not be in charge. I can tell you that. So good for you. That's awesome. Marty Myhall says, whatever happened. Okay, when I was at film school, my junior year, and well, it started my junior year, and then through my senior year, my uncle, I was driving. Okay, I went down to school. I was driving a 1963 Mercury Comet. It was completely redone. My dad had, put money in it to get it. It was really nice, and I took it down to L.A. like a dummy, and because a 63 Mercury Comet, you can break into that with like a coat hanger, and pull up the lock on the door, right? So so the so sure enough, it got stolen, right? And then the cops found it, and they had gutted it and taken the seats out, right? Because they were like bench seats. Oh, my dad was so pissed, and I was so pissed. So anyway, we had to pay for a tow truck. And when I say we, I mean my dad had to pay for a truck to go and pick this up and take it back to Oregon. And then he couldn't find Mercury Comet seats anymore, so he had to get Falcon seats and put in there, which didn't fit 100% right. So that was tragic. But anyway, so I didn't really have a car. And my uncle had this old half-ton Ford pickup, this green Ford pickup, right? And so this was the summer of my junior year before I went back down, and I knew I was going to be filming a 10-minute 16 millimeter film. And so I had to do, and there was some sci-fi stuff in it. So I had to do these sets. I had to build the sets. And so I built them in the summer with my dad, and we loaded them up on this truck. But we couldn't just put them in the truck. We had to create, like, make a canopy in the truck so all this stuff would fit. So we built this canopy out of wood, right? And then we surfaced it with corrugated, like, metal that you would use, roofing that you would use like on a patio or something, you know, and aluminum, you know, and then put this this big hatch door on the back, right? That would lift up and down, basically like this door, right? It would lift up and down like that, and so I could lock it, right? But then to lift it up, there was no way to hold the door up, so we had to get this big long post, this stick that was, you know, 6 feet, 8 feet long, and then prop it up, right? So I'll tell you right now, you drive around LA on that thing, and somebody in a Ferrari next to you, and you put on your blinker, dude, they get out of the way because they don't want you to hit them in this beater, because it really was. But hey, it got the job done, man. And eventually, what happened was after I replaced the carburetor went out, right? So I had to get a new carburetor, and I put it in, and that was back in the days when you could actually work on your own car, and you know. So I got the carburetor and put it in, and then like a week after I put this new carburetor in there, the transmission went out. And so at that point, you're like, I'm not paying for a new transmission for this beater. So I ended up selling the truck to somebody for $50, and they towed it away. And I was, you know, I was asking for $100 for it, right? And the guy's like, I'll give you 50. And I'm like, there's a new carburetor in there. I paid $50 for the carburetor, you know? And so I ended up selling for $50, and he towed it away, and that was that. So that's what happened to the green Ford that I used. And by that time, my dad had got the Comet fixed up again, and so I took it again with the Falcon seats. And this time, every night, I would I'd unplug the radiator. Pardon me. I'd unplug the alternator cap, right? So you couldn't start the car. And then I would, because you couldn't lock the hood either, I took a chain, like a link chain, and I would lock the hood down through the front grille with a padlock, and that way no one could actually ever steal the car again. So yeah, so every night I had to do that. I had to go in, pop the hood, unplug the alternator, and then chain the hood down. And like the 1 or 2 nights that I forgot to come in, like 2 a.m., you're like, I'm not doing it tonight. I'm just going to bed. I get up the next morning and my battery would be stolen. So it was just, you know, LA, right? Good freaking times. Yeah, it was like the Beverly Hillbillies from Portland. That's absolutely true. Closure is nice. Yeah, distributor cap. I'm sorry. What was I saying? The alternator cap? I meant the distributor cap. Yeah. So yeah, it was. I had the alternator go out on it too, and I had to replace that. Good times. Good freaking times. Okay, there are the orphan sisters. Sorry, I quit drawing because I had to tell the tale. So there it is. So Rodney, you're probably the only one who's going to remember what this is from. And now I'm going to sign it right now. You guys are my witnesses. And Lloyd, what number was it? 205. Okay. All right. And ladies and gentlemen, that ends the sketchbook portion of our show. But you're going to saying, is the show over, Aaron? No, it's not over. It's never over. We've 2 hours and we're still going. I mean, you know, I'm not stopping until I'm done. I got to get this stuff done, and I'm doing it, and I'm doing it live. But I'm going to get a drink of water first. Rodney, you're welcome. My dad was very old-fashioned in the sense of being but he was really very generous guy. But he complained all the time. He complained to, you know, and I kind of picked up to him. I'm a bit of a needler, in my household, and he was as well. I took it. My brother didn't take it well. I took it really well. Didn't bother me a bit. I just gave it back to him. We got along really well. But he was a very generous guy. He helped me in our first home, helped me lay tile in the bathroom, change windows. I'd always call him up, because I knew he'd come over and do it. But I'd come up and go, "Yeah, Dad, I'm going to lay tile in the bathroom. I'm not really sure how to do it. So what do you think I should do? Should I do this or do that?" And he'd go, "Oh, I'll be over in a half hour." And he'd come over. We go get tile, and he'd help me lay the tile in the bathroom because he knew how to do that stuff, and I'm terrible at it. But I learned a lot. Let's see. How many siblings? I just have one brother. That's it. He is in South Carolina. He was in the Air Force forever. He's 2 years older. Okay, so I have to find the toaster drawing. It's around here someplace. Oh, there it is. Okay, so the guy only wanted a 4x6, right? So take a look at this. I'm going to adjust my camera. There it is. It's a toaster speeding through space with a frightened piece of bread in it. And that's what I'm going with. So I got to do like, space back here and stuff. But Nighthawk says, "Bye, Aaron." Good night, Nighthawk. Thanks for dropping by. F it. We'll do it live. That's right. I'm curious where the art genetics came from. Did your dad draw too? No. My aunt was really good, and my mom drew. She doesn't think she was very good, but she was pretty good. She just never did anything with it. I about illustration, things like cutting tile. I'm not a very handy guy at all. So
that's for sure.
And my wife seconds that, and here she is. It's been a long night, but she's making an appearance.
Well, because the dog just woke up and needs to go out.
Okay, well.
And I'm not taking him.
What are you telling me? I'm taking him?
Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. We're going to take a brief pause, and Shelly's going to take over the show.
Oh,
Well, if I have to go take the dog out, then you're going to have to
I gotta come up with
man the show, so to speak.
Okay, so what's the story?
Tell them anything.
Oh gosh, help
Make something up. They won't know.
They won't know.
Pardon me. Let me give you guys a visual while Shelly tells you a story, because I don't think she's going to come in front of the camera.
Oh, not only no, but hell no.
Okay. So I'll be right back after I take the dog out to Wiz, and Shelly,
What?
keep it lively.
Oh gosh. Not today. I can't even think of one.
There's got to be a San Diego story that's. Tell them when you got food poisoning.
Oh no, because they got to hear about all that the other day.
Oh, that's right. So that was a food poisoning story.
Good Lord.
Okay.
They're like, poor Aaron.
How about we drove in the car to the very first San Diego?
Oh. You mean the time we almost broke up?
Yeah.
All right, I'll tell that one.
How excited you were that there was a bathroom, a phone in the.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, I guess I should preface this with I grew up in Hillsboro, Oregon, totally tiny. And yeah, I hadn't experienced much of anything. So the only time I'd really traveled was because I was on the volleyball team for Oregon State. So we got to travel to play, UCLA and stuff. And of course, the university wasn't going to pay a bunch of money for nice hotels. So anyway, so we decide we're broke. So we're going to drive to San Diego. And being the adventurous person I am, I'm like, yeah, sure, we could sleep the night in a rest area. How bad could it be? So we do that, and I swear I'll never do that again the minute that I kind of woke up and couldn't move. And by this point in my life, I hadn't had any back surgeries, but I did have a compression fracture in my low back. So from, of course, playing volleyball. So yeah, it wasn't real comfortable. So anyway, so we get down to San Diego, and we check into, I think it was a DoubleTree then. Oh my gosh, I'd never seen a hotel room with a phone in the bathroom. I thought, how important must you be that you have to take a phone call when you're going to the bathroom? Seriously, I didn't know anybody like that. So anyway, so we go to the con, and I'm just like blown away with what is this? And we get back to the hotel, and I'd never seen, I think I'd probably seen maybe $200 cash ever in my life. And all of a sudden he had, I don't know, like $800 or something. And I thought, booyah, we've made it big. And I'm jumping up and down on the bed and I'm throwing the money. Yep. Oh, now I just hold out my hand and go, how much to make? So that was my first San Diego. So on the way back, he's like, okay, well, we'll find a rest area. And I'm like, dude, I know you have cash in your pocket. I don't even care if it's a Motel 6. I'm not sleeping in my car ever again. And if you think I'm gonna, then you can just call this whole wedding off. So yeah, we stayed in a hotel that night. I guess it worked out because we're still married. But yeah, second San Diego, the one he was just talking about. Our son was born July 4th, and I believe we went to San Diego. He was less than 10 days old, I think, maybe, because it was always like this July time, I believe. Anyway, yeah, so I had a newborn with colic. So I remember just sitting in the bathroom at San Diego with this screaming baby in my lap, and people walking in like, oh, I'm so glad I'm not her. But yeah, that was fun. What else? I should give you guys some dirt on Aaron while he's not here. Yeah, he does cook. Because his mom does too sometimes. So that's what they kind of do together. And no, he can't do laundry. Nor have I ever seen him vacuum. Probably not. I think the only room he ever really cleans is his studio, and that doesn't happen very often, which is why the banners are behind. Oh man. How long does it take for a dog to pee? Seriously. Sorry, not my best day. Tell us about Aaron's DC art jobs. Oh, divorce incoming. Yeah, right. You know what? Oh, I'm a horrible wife. I used to know everything he worked on. And I would actually even read the scripts and know what issue it was. And now I just know he got a job. Favorite family con? Ooh, probably the ones up in Seattle were I think the only ones we all went to. San Diego's been really fun since Josh has been an adult, and we've taken Sammy once. But the ones up in Seattle, we would go because our daughter had a dance competition the same weekend. So we would go up early, and that was kind of fun. What's his favorite food? Anything free.
Who, me?
So what's your favorite food?
Anything the other
Anything free.
Yep.
I wasn't very entertaining.
Well,
Today is fibromyalgia day in my world.
I told you they just got a new study on that. They can get.
I know.
All right.
Let's see. Peace out. Later. Okay, bye. Favorite food. Dogs have to find the right spots. I was like, seriously, how long does it take a dog to pee?
Well, I got to go downstairs now in the backyard, and it's dark. And,
It's spooky.
they had to give him a treat for going outside because he expects it.
Aaron's DC art jobs. He said, I used to know all the stuff he worked on, but now I just ask.
I don't even remember. Paid. Yeah.
Well, in the beginning, it was like, oh my gosh, and now there's so many.
Yeah, that's when you know you've been doing it a long time, is when people show up with just stacks of books for you to sign. You're like, wow, I didn't realize I'd actually done that much work.
Yeah. I think the only weird, I'm sure I've had lots of weird conversations at Comic-Cons because that's always been fun. But I think the one that made me laugh the hardest was when somebody stopped and went, what's he really like? And I said, he's horrible.
You have no idea. Save me, please help me.
Sure. Or they go, did you draw this? No. What did you do? I'm a teacher. Okay, I'm out. They just walk.
Actually, no, you know what you should have told the story was how you helped me ink a story in
at Denny's?
At Denny's.
With a Sharpie.
And
I actually signed a couple books.
Yeah, no, that's a story. See,
there you go.
We had to finish. I was doing some Spider-Man backup stories. I just broke in.
That was our first San Diego?
Yeah. And I had to get the things done. So, they were due he needed them by Tuesday. And so Monday we were sitting at a Denny's because we drove down. So I don't think we had a hotel anymore. So we were sitting in a Denny's.
No, we had to check out.
And we were filling in blacks on this thing that I had inked the night before. And Shelly was in there with
good. Oh, sorry.
Shelley was in there with a Sharpie helping me fill in the blacks on a Spider-Man story. And so
Screen's blurry.
then, I know, it's because the resolution sucks.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, to show, a year later or whenever, when the book came out, she actually signed one of the comics because she helped fill in the blacks. Well, the guy asked. Yeah, the guy asked.
This is the book that you did the blacks on.
Yeah, and then the guy's like, "Oh, you better sign it too." Then she's like, "No," and he's like, "Yeah." So she signed it. So
but I said, "You don't want my autograph? I'm nobody."
But he wanted it, and he got it, and so now there's one copy out there with both our signatures on it.
Ooh.
That makes it worth twice as little because now
it's worth about $1.50
because there's two people wrote on it, not just one.
Oh, that's funny.
Look at this toaster action, man.
Okay. Now that I've been up for 5 minutes, I'm going to bed.
All right. Well, I put the hood back on him. I didn't know why he was free.
Because he was sleeping.
Oh
my gosh. He had his top half of his body buried underneath a blanket.
Mm-hmm.
And then his little feet were twitching. And then all of a sudden you see him stretching, and it's like all four legs were all straight, but his head was still under the blanket. And then he heard me get up, and then it was all over. Oh, yeah. Okay.
All right. Good night, Shelley. Thanks for
Good night.
setting.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night. Oh, that's right. Do I remember the issue number? It was all the Spider-Man backups I did. I can't even remember. It was the Aunt May story. I know that. I can't for the life of me.
It wasn't in the hologram cover.
No. It was just one of the regular issues. So I was doing backup stories in the regular issues because they were doing them like twice weekly or something. Because it was during the boom, and they were selling so many copies. They were like, "Oh, we got to get more, copies out to sell more books." And so Mark Bagley was drawing the book and making a fortune, and I was doing these backups in it for over several issues, but I can't for the life of me remember the numbers off the top of my head. It's really pretty poor art, actually, so you're not really missing much. But
the backstory of being inked in Denny's.
That's right.
It's understandable.
It's it's legend.
So yeah, I told him about me jumping up on the bed, throwing the money.
Yeah, then you told him how much money it actually was.
I think it was like $800.
Yeah, it was $800. We're rich. We're rich.
I've probably only seen maybe $200.
I know.
At one time in my entire life.
And the reality was, it didn't even pay for the hotel.
No.
But it was.
I thought selling my books back in college was making some serious cash for beer. So what did I know? That was silly. I got money for beer. I'm good.
Your wife isn't curious why you're drawing a toaster. She doesn't.
You know what? Nothing
care.
Phases me much anymore, really. Between teaching high school and married to an artist, pretty immune.
I assume that she assumes that someone asked me to do it. That's why I'm drawing it.
Well, what's your only criteria? If my mom or daughter can't look at it, I won't draw it.
Right.
But you notice it's never me.
Well, you never
if I can
cared.
see it.
You never cared. You were like, "Hey, they're paying you for it, man. Do it."
Yeah. What's the toaster for? They want to know.
The guy collects toasters, sketches of toasters, and so he asked me if I'd do a toaster sketch.
That's cute.
And I went, "Seriously?" And he's like, "No, I'm totally serious." And I'm like, "Okay." And he goes, "On a 4x6" thing. And I'm like, "What do you charge me?" And I'm like, "I don't know. I've never done a toaster on a 4x6."
Weirdest sketch request. Brian's asking.
Weirdest or most inappropriate?
Right.
Because I've had them both.
Well, what was the one where the jet stream was tearing her? I don't know.
Clothes
off or something.
Yeah, well, you'd always get the pervs, right? That were like, "Hey, can you draw, Wasp shrinking out of her costume?" And I'm like, "No." Or I'd like, "Yeah, I can draw it, but I'm not going to." God, what was another one? Oh, some guy. Okay, the creepiest thing I got was this guy wanted. And if it's one of you, I'm sorry, but
just thinking that. Oh, awkward.
Wanted, but it was still creepy. He wanted like Supergirl, like fainting back with her arms up over her head, like against like some rocks or something, like you were standing over her, and she was helpless before you, kind of thing. And he wanted like a series of several of them, and I'm like, I'm not your guy. Keep moving.
Keep it moving. Let's see. Dealer's choice. Yeah. Drew Spider-Man backup stories called First Kill Part 3.
So Aaron, you drew Spider-Man backup stories called First. Oh, is it? I don't know. If you say so.
Most regretful sketch. That's a good question.
I did a topless Wonder Woman once.
Really?
That was before I even met you.
I was going to say, I never.
And I regretted it 5 minutes after I turned it over to the guy, but it was like I was breaking in and I was like, ooh, money, sure, I'll do that. And then I'm like, why did I just do that?
Yeah. It's
never surfaced any place, so thankfully. But
it says, do you remember issue number? I can't read that. He's asking if you remember the issue number.
No, I do not.
Let's see, what else have we missed up there?
Okay, so Toaster blasting through space.
Comic geeks are weird. Yeah, but I'm a math geek, so weird is okay. Our son was little. He said, Mommy, I don't want to be a geek. And my response was, you don't have a choice.
Yeah, it's in your genes. How much did you charge for the topless Wonder Woman? $40, I think. Yikes.
Yep.
Spicy.
Spicy. Oh, gosh, look. Nighthawk's on it.
Yeah, but that's only one of, that wasn't the issue. It was an Amazing Spider-Man issue. I did backups like in a bunch of different Spider-Man comics and stories in them and stuff. So it was a regular issue. I think it's the one where he was fighting the Spider Slayer on the cover, robot. I can't remember 100%.
Got to track that down. Yeah.
I've got copies of them in my books, but
wow.
I'm not.
You're joining the ranks of Neil Adams. Tons more.
For what?
Toaster's project? Oh, sure, topless Wonder Woman project. So, Aaron, is this for your own comic with Toaster? No.
No, somebody actually asked me to do this. They collect Toaster sketches.
This is really cute. So sometimes people ask me like what I thought when I met him and he told me what he did. Honestly, it probably wasn't the most. I was
you had a very sort of negative opinion. You were kind of like, what are you, 12 or something, I guess?
Yeah. I don't think I said it then, though.
Yeah, but you were thinking it because you told me that later.
Because I remember then I was like, at the time I taught middle school and high school. So I was like, well, I teach 12-year-olds. I guess that's all right.
Yeah. Oh,
you
draw
get them
comics.
to do anything for a piece of candy. So
I believe the quote was, you draw comics? What are you, 12?
No,
I think that was, well, you didn't say it, but that's what you told me you thought later.
I was like, wow, okay. But what was my experience of life? Nothing.
Yeah, so what are you making fun of me for?
I don't know. I had pictured like Richie Rich, I think.
Well,
but I think we've been dating.
I've done Archie.
Like 3 weeks when you got your first Spider-Man thing, maybe? 2 weeks?
Yeah, we hadn't been, because I was working in commercial art trying to break into comics. So.
And look at you now.
I mean, now I'm unemployed.
Oh, you should have married better.
Oh, well, it was a good 30-year run, but 13 likes. Now these stories are giving you more likes, Aaron. Well, isn't that really what you want to hear? Is the inside scoop?
Oh, that's so funny, son of toaster man. That's funny. What was your best sketch?
My best sketch ever.
That's a hard one.
Wow, that is. I've got a couple. There's a White Queen I did. It's still on Comic Art Fans, and it's been up for years. That was really pretty good. Nice color one. Then there's I did a Venom one only a couple of years ago that turned out really nice.
I like your Star Wars chicks.
Well, that's not a sketch though.
True.
I'm gonna say I got a couple of good Wonder Womans floating around, a really nice Wonder Woman's floating around.
Yes. What was it? Where'd Andrew go? Do I celebrate Pi Day? Well,
She does.
well, not the traditional Pi Day, but at my old high school, we had the Low Presti Pie Extravaganza, which in one of the books we used, it was ended up around Thanksgiving time. So when we were studying circles, I did this whole Pi Day thing where the kids brought in pie. Sherry sponsored us one year. But we did the history of pie. We did our community's approximation of pie. See, I'm a big geek. And then we ate pie. And it was very popular. I think I did it for 8 years, maybe 7 years.
Well, of course it's popular to get pie.
And so, yeah, so then we would deliver pie all over the building because we'd had so many. And so in the fall, I'd always get the questions from the security guys. When's that pie thing happening? So, yeah. Yeah, for the White Queen.
I'm not going to say that's my favorite
It is,
sketch, but I'm
Andrew.
trying to think.
Well, the traditional Pi Day would be March 14th, right? 3.14. But that's too predictable. So the Low Presti Pie Extravaganza, and I'd only listen to the kids if they asked me questions, if they echoed the extravaganza. So I'd say Low Presti Pie Extravaganza again, and then I would talk to them. So it was all for my enjoyment, of course, but it was so much fun.
I'm using my chalk
That's a
pencil
good
to
one.
put stars in.
But you should keep, well, you've done that.
Sketch you did and thought. So I should keep this and make prints. Oh, you know what? The death print that I used to have was Death Takes a Holiday, which is actually also the name of a
Girl
Frederick
Power?
March movie.
Girl Power one too?
Yeah, that's a good one. Because that was a sketch.
I was to say that was a sketch that you made to a print.
Whoa, don't barf.
There you go.
Girl Power right there. That was actually a sketch because I needed money to buy an old comic on eBay. So I sat there and did this and then sold it on eBay. And then I thought, you know what, that turned out pretty good. I'm going to turn it into a print. And it's been one of my more popular prints I've ever done. So that's got to be up there as one of my all-time faves. What was the other one you said?
That's sketchy. Not sketchy like it's sketch, but.
But yeah, the death one I did, Death Takes a Holiday, which I said was a Frederick March movie from the 30s. It's a title, but it's basically Neil Gaiman's death at the beach. And in a like one-piece black swimsuit, and she's holding up a skull, and she has a little umbrella.
Is it like the bathroom, like changing, like the stalls,
yeah, the changing tent is back in the background, and Sandman's peeking his head out of it. That was one of the better ones I did.
I do pay attention to some things.
Yeah. And then
Fibonacci. Oh,
what's that? Oh, Fibonacci.
Sorry, I get the guy.
Yeah, Paul. He's an engineer though, so he's
okay.
He's right there.
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. First guy gets nothing. Gosh, I'll have to do that. Although I don't really get to teach that anymore, since I teach super part-time because I'm lame. Well, I shouldn't say I'm lame.
No.
After my 4th back surgery, they wouldn't let me go back, so here I am. Actually, 1 low back, 3 neck, good to go.
A few shoulder surgeries, but
4 shoulders.
Shelley played volleyball in college, and now she's paying the price.
Like, freaking out about the hotel because Oregon State never put us in a nice hotel.
Yeah, that's one thing. I always get a nice hotel when I go to San Diego because when I used to go there, I started going when I was in school down in LA, and I was like, why am I not going to this show? It's just down the road. You know, it's like the world's biggest, most famous con. Why am I not going to it? So I started going, and oh my gosh, you know, you'd stay at some flea bag that you could afford to stay at, you know, that was 2 miles away from the convention center. And but you know, I had no money. Obviously, I was a college student, and so I made a promise to myself that if I ever made it as an artist, that I would always splurge and get a nice hotel at San Diego.
Yep.
And I have kept that promise.
Wow.
And it's not the most efficient way to spend your money when you're at a show, but I
like it.
Are you okay, Mrs. Lopreston?
Meaning,
Meaning what
am I
exactly?
safe at home? No, Aaron just should have married better. I guess they should have done a genetic test or something before. No, I was a full-on, all-out crazy person. Because I'm only 5'6", and I thought when I wanted to play volleyball outside of high school, all the coaches told me I was too short. So ended up at the community college first, and then I walked on to Oregon State and made it just because they all told me I was too short. So I had to go for the whole thing.
Prove them wrong.
Yep, and destroyed my body in the process. Well, then I taught aerobics for 20 years. And then when I turned 40, I thought, oh, marathons sound like a good idea. So I did some of those. And then what?
I think that was it.
That was it. That was
That's
like
when
the
you
end of the
finally
road.
wrecked yourself.
Yeah.
Was the marathon.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, see, I would eat marathon candy bars while she was in a marathon, but that's the closest I ever got.
Well, the second one was horrible. I called him. I think I was at mile 23, and I'm like, "Come get me. I'm done." No, you're almost done. Come on.
No.
Oh, I was. What was it? Was it mile 23?
Yeah, I was 22. I said, if I come and get you right now, you're going to be pissed tomorrow. So I said, just finish it. You already killed yourself, so what's the point? You might as well. What are you saving yourself for?
So yeah, I hung up, and that fury got me through the last few.
But
miles.
you know I'm right.
Oh my gosh, I would have been. I would have. Oh, why did you pick me up? I would have been so pissed. But yeah, it was not one of my greatest ideas ever.
No.
So that's when I developed chronic fatigue syndrome and fibromyalgia,
and I believe I told her that before she started it, but she did it anyway. So.
I did.
But after your wife gets sick after something like that, you don't go, I told you so.
Yeah.
But now I can because it's, in the past.
It's been 12 years now?
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, because 2008 was my last marathon, I think. Yeah, he likes candy a lot. Are you okay, Mrs. Loprest? Oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Can you?
Yeah, you got to feel bad for Aaron because when I met him, I'd only had just a couple surgeries, minor things. I had some on my feet, one on my wrist, and I don't know. I was teaching aerobics a ton, so I probably made him think like I was all together or something. I don't know.
Little did I know that you completely fall apart.
Yeah. So we're just waiting until I'm old enough. According to my surgeon, I'm too young, which normally we don't hear anymore. Normally when we go to the doctor, we hear things like, at your age. But we'll end up fusing my whole neck eventually. But until then, I'm vertical.
I'm putting way too much work into this for what I charged the guy, but...
Oh, Andrew, he can, because he was right. He told me so. Yeah. Only
if you want to get divorced. We're too far beyond that. At 28 years, you don't get divorced after 28 years of marriage. You just stick it out at that point.
It's a matter of principle at that point.
That's right.
Oh my gosh. No, I don't even know how many surgeries you've had to pay for. 8.
I don't keep track. That's that stuff.
11, 12, 13. At least 13.
But who's counting?
Keep telling him.
The bread, I mean. What do you see? The toaster looks like one from the cartoon movie Little Toaster from 1987. Oh. The bread, I mean.
Oh, I get it.
Well, I Googled a toaster because, a toaster is one of those things you're like, everybody thinks they knows what it looks like, but then you draw it and it's like not even correct. So I actually went and looked at what a toaster actually look like, and so this is an actual toaster I saw on Google.
You could have gone downstairs.
I could have, but that's a we have a multi slice, and I didn't want to go that big. It felt, this is more of a, what do you call it, a fighter ship and less of a cargo ship. So I had to keep
the weirdest conversations we have.
Oh
my gosh. If you fuse your neck. Yeah. Well, yeah. I don't know how many times I've said to my surgeon, just fuse them all. Let me look straight ahead. I don't care. But apparently I'm too young. Who knew? I'll have to rewatch that. He was one of my favorite Batmans, though.
Who?
Keaton.
Yeah.
Eh.
There seems to be some nostalgia for that, but I hated that movie. I'm not a big Tim Burton fan. In fact, I can't stand Tim Burton. I do like Ed Wood. I think it's a brilliant movie, but I think that's the only movie he did that I actually like.
Didn't he do Nightmare Before Christmas?
Well, he produced it, but
oh, my bad. That's my favorite one.
I think Henry Selick, I think, is the guy who did it. Same guy who did James the Giant Peach.
I'm so too much to go downstairs.
Yeah, Kim, you're right. Kim Jong-gi would have known what a toaster looked like.
Oh,
or he would have faked it well enough that we would have bought it.
That is so funny.
Well, thanks. I laughed too much at go downstairs.
We could have gone downstairs. Speaking of downstairs,
I missed that. I wasn't paying attention.
What?
I left him in the bedroom. I put the
when I said you could have gone downstairs, look at the toaster.
Oh.
Sometimes I have to draw him a picture, but you still doesn't get it because I'm horrible.
I'm not paying attention. I'm like drawing, so I'm only catching half the conversation.
That's true. You left him in the bedroom?
Yeah, I don't know where he's.
No.
No, he couldn't get underneath the bed because I put the cone on him.
The cone of shame.
Yeah. So I don't know what he's doing, but he's probably eating something you left on the nightstand. I just heard her go, ah, so he's into something. You know, Keaton was, I thought, you know what, I think anybody who's played Batman has done it well because they're in the costume. So to say that so-and-so doesn't look like Batman, once you put the costume on, they do. I don't even want to know what he did. What did he do?
Apparently he really likes granola.
Oh, Shelly. Why do you keep leaving?
Why did you put him in the bedroom when I was in there?
Why do you leave food on your nightstand? You know he's going to get it.
Oh my gosh, hold me back, Husker.
We're gonna brawl.
We're gonna throw hands.
It's getting ugly again.
Dang it! I didn't know you were leaving in there. Husker, was that good?
Did he eat that whole bag? He didn't eat that whole bag, did he?
No.
Oh.
He couldn't really get in it very well because of the cone.
Well, that's good. See, the cone worked.
But the strawberry vanilla granola apparently is his fave.
Well, I think anything that he eats dirt, everything's his favorite.
And dried leaves and twigs and.
No, he barfed today. I'm like, is there any wonder all this stuff he eats?
I think he's coming down off his drugs.
Withdrawing off his drugs.
5 days of pain meds.
Oh man, I can't believe how much work I'm putting into this toaster.
He'll appreciate it. It's a good conversation piece.
Comics Bear has joined us. I don't know, where you've been, but thanks for joining. Late. It's late, but we're still rolling on when I'm drawing the cosmic toaster. I still have another sketch after this to finish. Like I said, I'm not leaving until I'm done.
Why is it so blurry?
Why is what so blurry?
With all our money that we should be able to buy a camera that.
It's not the camera. It's the it's YouTube.
Really?
Yes. That's my camera. Look how sharp that is.
Yeah, that looks pretty good.
It's YouTube.
Well, maybe
I have to pay extra for high def, and I haven't done it yet. But I will, maybe.
Well, it depends. We get more work.
Yeah, that's right. Well, it depends on how much I'm going to use, use it.
Oh, you've been doing it a lot now.
Yeah, maybe doing it more too. But, okay, that's it. There it is. Cosmic Toaster complete.
What do you have left? Sorry, I'm yawning. Sorry.
I can finish that.
That's it?
That's it.
Nice.
Then all I have to do is get it all packaged up.
Oh my gosh, that's the worst sound in the world.
Yeah, she complains about the tape, the packing tape, because it just screeches. And I keep telling her, it's the sound of money. Just remember, it's the sound of money.
I can't do it. It's horrible. Let me do one just so they know.
No, she's going to go rip some tape just so you can hear how bad it is.
Is it this one?
It's any of them.
Oh, I can't. Oh, Lord. Well, you got to have one for this, right?
No, don't stick that on it because they're going in priority envelopes. Just Yeah, there you go.
Oh, that's like fingernails on a chalkboard.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Put it on Aaron. Oh, I need a sharp utensil.
To stab me with it?
Well, maybe. I gotta cut the tape. Oh, I hate that sound so much. There you go.
Alrighty.
Husker. I thought it was done.
Well, I forgot I had a planet over here in the corner that I had to kind of do a little.
You lied.
A little bit of extra.
Oh, is he chewing on your chair? Oh my
Yep.
gosh. Why did they do that?
Why does he do anything he does?
Well,
This
Lucy
dog
did it too. He's so weird. Seriously. He's so funny though.
Okay, there it is. I signed it. It is done. I don't have to number it. Okay, so there we go.
1 of 1.
Toaster.
Nice.
Well, you probably never see anything like that again. Then again, who knows, right?
Mhm.
All right, so now this.
Oop, oop.
Yep, there we go. I have to zoom out. This is a bigger picture. I want to share something with you guys.
Uh-oh,
Those of
should I
you
leave
who
the room?
no, oh my gosh.
Sorry. Smart ass much?
So who else does this when they have like, paper with notes on it? Do and draw faces and eyes and
There's
eyeballs.
not a spare piece of paper in our house that hasn't been doodled on
Dude with a big nose.
by either him or our daughter.
I do this all the time.
Constantly.
I had some more up here. What happened to them?
They're
No, I don't. Oh, yeah, I guess they are.
under here. You're so weird.
Just this and that, yeah. So yeah, so I had like got some notes on there. Call Cairo and cancel Shelley.
Yep. Double booked myself.
Yeah. So, but along those notes, and there's something up here: passport, charger, all this stuff. A list for Samantha to take to college with her, and then I drew all that crap on there.
Yep.
And then I go, well,
Normally
I can't throw it
they'll be like
away.
this. Well, hands. They used to do hands on every piece of paper.
Then there's a couple dudes here. Werewolf of London right there. For those of you guys who are really, I don't know, that's just a guy with a big nose. That's a crazy dude. It's a very serious guy with glasses.
Looks like Terry.
It kind of does. Money spent on new business. Oh, those are business expense things.
Good.
Okay.
Good thing.
So there you go.
Yep. There's
Just wanted
not
to share my scribbles with you.
a piece of paper in the house that hasn't been doodled on.
All right.
I don't doodle. I solve. I don't doodle.
She solves for X.
Oh,
What the heck is that?
Oh, right here.
I'm on EST. I stayed.
It's up here.
I don't even know what EST means. I know it.
Eastern Standard Time.
Oh,
Perhaps?
ESP. Oh, so you're like, wow, hanging up late.
Oh my gosh, that's funny. We should have a "What does Aaron do at home?" section.
Me and Mrs. Lopresti on a roll. Who's that Aaron? What character is that? What character is what? Oh, this?
Oh my god.
Yeah. This is a guy's creator on Caleb. I don't know if he's here or not. He was. I think he was coming in to check it out. But
Oh my gosh, that is so funny.
this is his character. And I did the pencil and ink last night, but did not get it finished. So I'm going to finish it
It's
now.
syndication.
Huh?
Paul.
As you say, you guys are great together. Good night. I'll watch the rest of Syndicate.
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for dropping by, Paul. I appreciate it.
Oh, that's too funny. All right.
Rips the tape off.
Like waxing.
Waxing my shirt.
Oh. All right. Pavement. Husker Boo. What you doing?
And Shelly is out for the night.
We
Thank you for guest hosting. Oh, thank you. I didn't design it. That's the dude's design. I just tried to do my best to get it accurate. But yeah, all my sketchbooks are caught up now. All my commissions after this will be caught up. I have a color Psylocke. It was supposed to start today, but I ended up just packing stuff all day. So I'm going to start that tomorrow. Let's see, Aaron, will you add these to your new sketchbook? Perhaps erase the notes. I'm not doing another sketchbook. This sketchbook that I've done, this hardcover, that is it. That is my final sketchbook. Now I have plans to do some other art books, but I'm not doing any more sketchbooks. I know, you know what they say never, right? But I've done too many over the years. I think they're kind of going out of style in some ways. But that doesn't mean I wouldn't do the art of Aaron Lopresti, which would have some sketches in it probably, but it would also have a ton of finished art. That's kind of more what I'm focused on now. If I were going to do any more books, they're going to be finished art books. That's not to say they wouldn't include process pictures, but as a pure sketchbook where everything in it is a sketch, no, not going to happen. Well, Nighthawk, I think I just answered your question probably before you typed it, or as you typed it. They don't sell. There doesn't seem to be interest in sketchbooks anymore. They were a fad for a while, and I think everybody's doing them and continues to do them to death. And it's like, how many sketchbooks can you, especially when they do little pamphlet sizes, which ones I used to do as well. I just think it's an oversaturation, and how many books of my sketches do you need? At some point, you want to see some art you've never seen before, something a little different. So that would be my
right next to the granola.
That would be my. What was that?
This was right next to the granola.
And so he chose
doesn't take his favorite treats, but he eats my granola.
There's dog treats, and he chose the granola over the dog treats. No?
And then he just wanted his teeth brushed, but I couldn't do it.
You
so
couldn't do it?
Call the vet to see if I can start brushing his teeth again.
Oh, you can brush his teeth.
Well, he had stitches in his mouth.
They said it was for 3 days. It's been 5. So
thanks for sharing.
I did share that. This is just
feeling brave in front of your friends, are you?
Well, we're gonna throw hands again. It's getting ugly in here.
How many times do you think we've argued in 28 years? Like
not
full on argued.
Only a couple times.
Yeah.
That's because I generally try to avoid the argument.
You used to follow me.
Yeah,
we've only fought maybe like less than 5 times. And I would be like, "Stop following me! I don't want to talk to you." That was quite a few years ago.
Well, most of our fighting was early in our marriage, which generally is the case.
Mm-hmm. Well, our first year of marriage, we had a kid, bought a house, remodeled. All the things stressful things there.
Yeah, all the things you don't want to do.
Had a child, barely had insurance by the time we had him.
Yeah. Toast-based book. It could be bread and butter.
Woo! That's so funny.
All right.
Oh, we might need some bread and butter.
Absolutely.
Come on, Husker. To learn the difference between dog food and people food.
You keep leaving, but then you keep coming back. So I don't know if So Shelly's out again, but she may return. You never know. Craig, what? Yeah, I don't know. Okay, I'll tell you what I was going to do, and I still may do, but it requires getting a lot of permission and rights, which means pain in the butt. But I was planning on kickstarting the best of my commissions, which I don't really consider these. I mean, they're technically sketch commissions, but I wouldn't really call them sketches. I just call them marker commissions. And but I was going to do the best of my mostly color commissions. The problem is they're all copyrighted characters, either Marvel or DC, every single one of them. So I would have to get permission both from DC, which I could do, and Marvel to be able to do the book. But there's paperwork and contractual blah, blah, blah. So it's a lot of buts. Yes, it is. That was one thing I was thinking of doing. I'm also thinking of doing classic movie star portraits. I don't know if you guys saw the Charlie Chaplin that I posted online, and the Werewolf of London I posted online recently. Things like that. I mean, I did don't barf. I did of course, the Star Wars princesses. Stuff like that. Like it'd be a portrait on every page of, but probably mostly Golden Age Hollywood type. It wouldn't be anything necessarily modern. Charlie Chaplin, Cary Grant, things like that. Some of the classic beauties, Rita Hayworth, things like that. So, but I was thinking about doing that as well. A smaller book. I guess technically it would be probably just pencil drawings. It'd be black and white, but they would be finished. They wouldn't be sketches. Like the Chaplin one I just posted recently, I would consider that a sketch. I wouldn't consider it a finished pencil drawing. If I was doing something finished, it'd be more like the Star Wars princesses. Okay, so we got our hair rocking and rolling here. So this is all inked. All I got to do is erase most of the pencil out of here, and then go in with the markers and marker this sucker up. Let me see if I can dig up some of the classic monster stuff I've done. That'll give you an idea of exactly what I'm talking about portrait-wise, because I've done finished portraits of Frankenstein, the Wolfman, the creature, all in pencil. So as you guys look at that on a blurry screen, let me see if I can, I don't know if I have them on this computer or if they're someplace else. Let's see. I don't think they're in there. Man, I've done a lot of commissions. I got folders just full of commissions. It doesn't really feel like I do that many, but I must, because now this one's kind of fun. Has anybody seen this one before? Sorry, I have to upload it. I wasn't prepared, but you know, since we're killing time, right? Okay, huh? That was kind of fun. Now that wasn't for anyone in particular. I just did it because I felt like it, and I would do a like for San Diego, especially, or New York, one of the really major shows. I will do like 9x12s and fill my 9x12 book with stuff like this, and you know, take my chances at the show and see if anybody's buying. That's long gone. Obviously, I did that 2 years ago, but here's another favorite of mine. It's got a lot of likes on social media, so apparently other people dig it too. So let's see. Yeah, little penguin action. Now that's actually in my sketchbook called Illegal, and it just has portraits of villains in it. Nighthawk Warrior wants to know, Aaron, will you do a giant book just of everything you ever drew? Yes, I will do the Art of Aaron Lopresti. So, you know, I'm not a big Bela Lugosi fan, so I haven't done. I did an oil painting of Dracula that actually got used on a book cover in Europe of Bela Lugosi as Dracula. But the only reason I did it was because I think someone requested it. Because as a commission, because I can't stand Bela Lugosi. I know it's terrible, but it's true. You know, I will bet money that if I look this thing up online, it'll be there. Let's just see. Oops, sorry. This would be neat. Look at the penguin while and the intricate detail in the penguin while I look up, see if I can find that Frankenstein piece. Let's see. There it is. I told you guys I could find it. It's not quite as dark, I think, as the original is, because I think it's a little gray, but you'll get the idea. I'm stealing my own art off the internet. Okay, so take a look at this, if you dare. Okay, so that's a Frankenstein I did. It's not a good resolution, obviously. It's a small JPEG I just ripped off the internet. So here's a better shot of one I also did. But so if I did a book on portraits, they'd look like that, you know, finished pieces like that. Okay, and here's another one. This one's better. The resolution, I think, is better. So I did that of The Bride of Frankenstein, obviously. That was back in 2004. So my gosh, those were 16 years ago. You guys just saw me adjusting my crotch in my pants. That's pretty good TV right there. Oh, wait a minute. What is this? Ugh. this isn't a, that's a close-up of the Frankenstein piece. But I did these on watercolor paper, so it's really textured paper, and just did it with regular graphite pencil. So there's a lot of work actually to get, these black areas. So I didn't do them with a black colored pencil, which maybe would have been a smarter thing to do. And then, of course, when you scan it, they are kind of gray, but then you can adjust the contrast so that it's darker. Here's something I usually don't show my old crap, but this was a very, very early oil painting that I did. I had no intention actually of doing like a show and tell, but this is an old Frankenstein picture I did. It's like one of my first oil paintings, so don't laugh. No, the resolution sucks on it anyway. But that was an oil painting I did. And I did a mock-up of it. So I put a Famous Monsters logo on it and everything. And so it looked, and add like blurbs and stuff. So it looked like, it was like a Famous Monsters of Filmland cover. So anyway, those are a couple of, let's see if I can find the Wolfman since I'm doing it. I put Lopresti Wolfman on here, and I got like everything I've ever done except the Wolfman. That's pretty dumb. There's like Aquaman pictures. Why would you look up the Wolfman and then Aquaman would come up? I guess anything with my name attached to it, right? That's kind of the idea. So that didn't come up. Oh, well, anyway, you get the idea. Enough of this foolishness. There's my hand. Back to this. Let's get back to drawing. Evil Blue Beetle. What are you talking about? So, Aaron, did you draw Evil Blue Beetle? Oh, from DC for the Dark Multi? Yes. With him holding Superman cape and Batman's. No, that was Lee Weeks did that cover, actually. But I did the interior. So as Bill Murray would say, so I got that going for me, which is kind of nice. All right, so if Caleb has tuned in, he's like, Aaron, quit showing Frankenstein pictures and finish my commission. And so I'm doing it. I'm going to do it right now. I'm finishing the commission right now. You can't even see the marker that I'm laying down because I'm using a warm zero as my base. And then I will, put darker tones over the top of it. But as I've said in the past, it helps the marker that you lay over the top. It helps it flow nicer. Ow. I know, it is a good cover.
Go back. Come on, come on. I think we need a refund.
On the dog?
He's just humping my arm. Damn it. Refund! Oh, I thought I was supposed to stop it.
You
just attacked my head. Trying to get my hair tied.
So you tolerated that when he was really young, and so
no, because it was so cute.
Yeah, when he was little, but now that he's big, it's
not
he's
gonna get this big. I'm this strong. It about rips my face off.
You know these schnauzers were bred to specifically to hunt down rats on farms.
That's where you go.
So they're very, very strong dogs. So anyway, So I'm going in with a 2, a warm 2. Thanks, Rodney. Thanks for joining me. I'll get you guys waiting on books. They're going to get out this week, but they ship out media mail, so it takes sometimes 7 to 10 days to get them. So be patient. All right, Stephen, thanks for joining me. Good night. Whew, 9:30. I didn't think I'd be on this long, but like I said, I'm going until I get this done. Even if everybody leaves me and it's just me, I'm going to do it. Okay. So I think I'll go in with a neutral gray for her glasses. This is going to be a neutral gray 0. Right over the top of that. Then I can go in with a 2 maybe. Kind of do something like this. A little streaking on the glass. And go back over the top of that with a 0 to kind of soften the edge a little bit. I'm going to stay with the neutral grays here. I'm going to do the lips in neutral gray. And her eye in gray. Probably should go in, do a little bit of work, give a little bit of eyeshadow in there. And slowly but surely, the face comes to life. Right, that way and that way. Again, it's really hard on this broadcast. My daughter was working on unclogging a toilet at college. So I'm curious to see how it turned out. Try and keep the blending softer again on the female face than maybe I would on a guy's face, where I could feel more comfortable roughing it up a little bit. Yeah, let's see here. Oh, Caleb has joined in. He's probably putting him to sleep with all this other stuff. He's been waiting for this. I'll give you guys a better look at this, obviously, when I get it completely done, but let me see if I can go in here closer and kind of see what's going on there with the... All right, Caleb's being a little tight-lipped about what he's working on, but that's fine. Okay. You got to reveal at the proper time. So yeah, so I'll fill in all these white areas with the gray, and then I will go back and hit it, the white pencil, to create a little bit more. Yeah, I'm going to color all that in. Let's see. I go get really aggressive here with a 5 and just create some seriously darker areas. Stomach is making all sorts of weird noises. I have a real problem with that. It seems like every time I get on camera, it's like my stomach starts growling and making weird noises. It's just a really disgusting broadcast on many levels, really. Okay, so we got some variance in there in her hair, but then I'm going to go in. If I can find my dumb pencil, there it is. Excuse my reach again. So I go in here with my white pencil and kind of put in some highlights back into it. Right, just a little bit of streaking. Yeah. So yeah. Okay. So that's one portion of this, pretty much in the books. Although I think, see, I just blacked out there for a second, didn't I? But I'm back. Okay. All right. I think that's kind of groovy. Okay, so I'm going to go in and do her flesh tones. And if I remember Caleb telling me correctly, I'm sure he'll be screaming bloody murder if I do this wrong, but I think I've got it. She said her forearms are clean, but I'm gonna leave those little wristbands right there. I'm gonna leave those as part of the costume, and I'll show you what I'm gonna do with those in a moment. I know every time I cross in front of the camera, it's affecting the white balance and it's in the exposure. So I apologize, but oh, there's all this technology and still it's not good enough. One of the problems is I've got all the lights on in the studio and I'm getting reflection off this white paper. If I turned the lights off, you'd actually could see it better, but then I couldn't see. So my stomach, I'll tell you. All right. Actually, I wanted this to be a. So there's like, there's some really nice kind of modeling on her face. You can see kind of in there. And that's a combination of a W2 and a W0. Okay. So let me quiet stomach. Make sure I get her nails in there. All right, so I'll make this black. So it looks like part of the costume. I'm going to lower her hairline a little bit. Okay. We'll go in with neutral 3. Do her hair. Okay. All right. So let me think. All right. I'm going in with cool grays on the black areas. Well, it gives you a pretty good shot there. So I'm going to go in with cool grays on these black areas here. This is a cool gray 3. Okay. So then I'm going to hit that over the top of that with a 5. Let's see here. I'm going to go with a C1, I think, as my blending tool. There's not really a lot of room here. You want to save a little bit of that white, but when the grays around it are that dark, the light gray becomes the white, becomes the highlight. You don't need white on there. I always leave it on there that I end up covering it up because it's too white. And then you can say, okay, well now I want to make those darks a little bit darker. So I'll go back over the top of the 5 again. You can see how those highlight areas, those are actually gray, cool gray 1s, but they almost read as white because the gray around it is so dark. And that's what I want. That's why they say when you're painting, never use pure white to do highlights and stuff, because it's just too bright. You don't need to. You always have a lighter variation of one of the colors you're already using, and it always appears white. If you actually did white, it would just be like glaring. That's what they tell you, but then I go ahead and cheat and use white anyway. But it's kind of like, once you know the rules, then you can break them, but you don't break the rules before you understand why they're in place. If that makes any sense. But you can use, sometimes you just want something, a really, really hot white spot. And then you would use, then you'd go ahead and use your white to create that really hot spot of reflection. But most of the time, that's not the look you want. Okay, so it does kind of look like the Baroness, doesn't it? I don't know. I don't know what Caleb's inspiration was, or if it's just one of those weird coincidences. Well, actually, the Baroness has like red stripe. Wait a minute, I take that back. This kind of does because she has the glasses, but I don't think this character actually looks like the Baroness. Because I did do a commission of the Baroness. Actually, somebody asked me, I guess it was Nighthawk Warrior, wanted to know what my favorite commission was. That was a really nice piece. The Baroness I did for somebody. And it was really funny because I had no idea who it was because I'm not into G.I. Joe at all. But it turned out really nice. Oh, and I also did a teen, pardon me, not Teen Titans, but a Legion character, not Saturn Girl, Andromeda maybe, that turned out really nice. That was one of my all-time faves. Okay, so I want to separate some of these grays so they don't all run in together. So I think I'm going to go neutral gray on these lighter grays. Oops. So then even if I get close to the same value, they'll still separate because the cool grays, of course, lean to the blue. And the warm grays, the warm grays obviously lean towards the yellow spectrum, but the neutrals are just kind of flat. And so they're still gray, but so you can say it almost feels like a different color on there, which is what we want. I'm going to go with 3, I think, a neutral 3 here. I make it look so effortless. Well, dude, thanks for saying that. It's years of practice is really what it comes down to. I learned how to use markers when I was working in commercial art because we do what we call marker comps, which were basically prelims for an ad piece. So the guys could kind of a down and dirty so they could see what it looked like before they'd okay and say, okay, yeah, do that as final art. And so I really learned how to use markers that way. And we did also when we did like storyboards for like commercials, which I did all the time, not movies, but commercials. And we'd always have to marker those. And the thing with the key to using markers is kind of like watercolors. You don't overwork them. And I mean, we're all guilty of doing it at times, but you try to lay it down quick and then move on. And that's how you get a real nice watercolor effect. And that's essentially how you use these. Instead of trying to manipulate it so that you get kind of an airbrush look, which you really don't want. You think you do, but you really don't. Like, see, I'll just knock in just a couple quick shapes like that. And you think, oh, but because the board's so wet, it almost softens and blends by itself at this point. But I can also hit it over the top, kind of work it in a little bit. But you want that sort of textured feel to it. You don't want it super, super airbrushy soft because it looks, I'm not a big airbrush fan. Even when airbrush was like cool, I wasn't a big airbrush fan because it just looks so artificial to me and so overdone because everything's so perfectly soft. And, I like something that has just maybe a little bit of I guess we'd call a painterly feel to it. Comics. Waiting on my Wolverine commission patiently. That's coming up this week, dude, by the way. Unless something changes drastically, I'll be probably in contact with you on Wednesday or Thursday, Benjamin Lee, about your Wolverine commission. The color commissions, the ones that are expensive or more expensive than these, I don't do live feeds on because they're on my drafting table, and I have to be a little bit cleaner on those because obviously I'm charging more money for them and so forth and so on. And drawing in your lap is hard, and plus all my color commissions are generally 11 by 17, and that's just too big size to work on your lap. 11 by 14 is about as good as I want to go, as big as I want to go. H.R. Geiger was a master of airbrush. Yeah, he was. Stuff was really disgusting, though. I never really got into Geiger because his stuff was just so really disturbing. And he ended up killing himself, didn't he? I may be mistaken. If that's not true, I don't want to be spreading untrue rumors, but I thought he ended up, maybe he just died young. I can't remember. I thought he killed himself. And I always wonder about people that do just constantly dark stuff like that, if it just kind of consumes them after a while. I mean, Wrightson did most of his stuff had a sense of humor to it, though. It wasn't like really dark from a really dark place in their soul. You know, he kind of would push it so far it was kind of absurd, and it was a sort of, plus his style was, I don't mean this to be demeaning because I'm a huge Wrightson fan, but it's kind of cartoony in a way. So his horror was never, well, Frankenstein stuff was, really tremendous, but it was never really disturbing. It was really just sort of pleasant. Even when he was drawing stuff that was just outrageously disgusting, it was still had sort of a light touch to it. In the same way, I think my monster stuff has a light touch to it. It never really feels all that scary. And I think that's just a reflection of my personality. I like monster stuff. I like, not necessarily horror stuff, but I do like monster stuff. But I kind of enjoy it in kind of a lighthearted way. I just don't get into the really sort of grotesque, horrific stuff that true nightmares are made of. It doesn't really appeal to me. So I think that reflects when I do a monster comic or something, it sort of reflects in it. Although there is some gross stuff in Garbage Man, but I don't know. Someone made the comment, I drew a great white shark, and he goes, "This is the friendliest looking great white shark I've ever seen." And I was just like, yeah, I know. It just sort of kind of, it's kind of again, reflection of my personality that coming through. Oops, let me lower that a little bit so you can see me actually working on the mask. This actually turned out pretty well. I kind of like this. I never know what to expect. I mean, that's not again to say that the other commissions I did didn't turn out well, but when you're ever doing someone else's character, it's tricky. But I really like how this is coming out. Caleb, I hope you do too, since you've got to, it's going to be for you, but I do kind of like how it's coming out. And I think that's what you want to hear the artist say, right? Hey, I really like how this came out, instead of, I don't know if you're going to like this or not, because then your guard's up. But kind of cool. All right, so we got to do the gun. Boy, I didn't think I was going to go to 10:30. What time did I start? At 6:30. 4 hours. This has been epic, man. It's like a marathon. Especially if you're on the East Coast watching this. Wow. But I knew it was going to take a long time. And as I said, I'm not turning off the camera till I'm caught up and done so I can start packaging everybody's stuff up tomorrow. I mean, I started packaging today, but now everybody's stuff will be done and I can really spend the day tomorrow getting everything packed up and ready to ship. Well, whoever gets behind me at the post office tomorrow is going to be pissed off. It's going to have like 20 packages. It's 10:05 for me, so I'm still spry as a chicken. I don't even know if chickens are spry, but well, it's like I said, I got to get this done. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Got to get it done. So I thank you for those of you who stuck it out for the entire ride. I appreciate it. It's nice to have company. All right, so now what do I do? That's a good question. I'll tell you what I do. I'm going to go and punch up some line work here. If I think it needs it. Again, I know the angle I'm working at is probably not the best, but I will reveal what this looks like. Okay. These markers tend to, as you lay them down over and over again over the top of these black lines, it tends to dull the black a little bit. So I always like to go in and sort of punch up the outline. Before I'm finished. As Nighthawk, well, good night, Aaron. Sleep well once you finish this up. All right. Hey, thanks, man. Hey, we still have 19 people watching this, so somebody's still awake. Stomach again. Howling at the moon. Okay. We're almost there, folks. Hang in there. Almost there. All right. All right. So the final touches, I'm going to hit everything with a warm number 3 if I can find it. There's a 4 and a 2. There's 3 hidden back there. Something I always like to do on these commissions is develop this habit. And oh, you know what? I want to strengthen that line on this sword. So I'm going to use this envelope, my cable bill envelope. Beef up that line a little bit. Yes, stomach. We'll get a late night snack in a moment. See, I'm too wired now. I can't go to bed for a while. I've got to wind down. If I go to bed like right after this, I'll just be tossing and turning all night. So I will avoid that. All right, hang on a second here. I just realized I didn't get the butt of the gun here. Okay, so then I'm going to take my, what did I do with it? I just had it. Did I drop it? Oh, there it is. How did it get over there? I don't know. I'm going to go with my warm 3 and outline everything in a warm 3. Why? I don't know, because I like the way it looks. And again, it's something that's not going to show up incredibly well on screen, but it will in person. And it does, obviously, when you scan it, it picks up all this nuance that you guys aren't really seeing. Punching it up with a, with an outline of color, I don't know, it just kind of really sort of, I guess someone said it best. They said it really sort of grounds the drawing. And I guess that's the best way to describe it. It kind of puts like a finishing touch on the thing. So it feels more like a finished piece of art than a sketch. Even though it has a lot of the elements of a sketch, there's some looseness in there that maybe you wouldn't see. Well, again, depending on the artist, there's a lot of guys that do loose stuff like this as finished work. So it just depends on the artist. My stuff is generally pretty slick. So that may be why I feel the need to put this outline around it, because it helps to kind of make it feel slicker. Oh, look at this. Blacklist Universe. Mike Miller's dropped in. I'm surprised you're not online, Mike. You're online every night. Hardest working man on YouTube, Mike Miller. Of course, you got projects to sell too, so it's all part and parcel. All right. I need to start having guests on so I don't have to carry the conversation by myself all the time. Okay, so there we have the outline, and that's pretty much going to wrap this up, I think. Let me do that real quick. Oops, I see another little tweak. Well, Caleb, I hope you like this. I think it turned out really well. Actually, I'm really sort of pleased with it. Maybe I'll drop in a few white highlights. Let's put a few highlights on that gun. It appears to be shiny. And maybe some hot spots right there on her hip, and maybe up here on her shoulder. I happen to think, yes, East Coast in the house. Fine, I'll launch a stream. Okay, let's take a look at this. You're not going to be able to see, again, the nuance of it is going to be difficult to pick up in all of this, but I'll try and get it in close so you can see. You can kind of see pretty well what's going on in her face. And there it is, guys. I think it that turned out pretty nice. I'm pleased. Mike just started a stream. He just sent me an invitation. Oh, yeah. So, find a pen to sign this with. Let's see. Thanks. Paulus Art says, looks incredible, dude. Thank you. The Art of Read. This is a great piece. Thank you. Caleb, are you happy? Are we cool? So really this sort of, yeah, hang on a second here. I'm not going to mess with that. This is really sort of the official end then to ErinCon. Even though this is technically Erin Live, which is a totally different show than ErinCon. So, yeah, so sketchbooks are caught up, but I want you guys to know that if you don't have a sketchbook and you want one, you can order one at any time. I will stick it for shipping. Shipping's $5. I ship it out media mail, so it's not that bad. So basically, if you wanted one with a sketch in it, it'd be $50. If you wanted one with just signed and numbered, it'd be $30. And you can order those at any time. It doesn't have to be during ErinCon. If you want a book with a sketch in it, just let me know, and I will do it. So those are always available. Just not free shipping all the time. That's what I wanted to do, is put a couple highlights on these classes. See, once again, doing stuff after I've already signed it. It's like totally against the rules. Benjamin, have a good night, Erin. Good to see you as always. Hope you sleep well. Me too. Thank you for joining. And like I said, I'll be in touch about your Wolverine commission pretty shortly. Junkyard done. Thanks, man, for stopping by. I appreciate it. Oh my goodness, Angela, you got to get up at 5:30. Way to hang in there, man. Thanks. I appreciate it. All right, guys, that's going to wrap it up. So again, if you've ordered stuff, be patient because it takes time to package this stuff up and get it out. And I got a lot of stuff to package up and get out. So boom, there I am. You can see, look, I'm wide awake, man. The stuff packed. So, you know, that was supposed to go out today, but it didn't because the post office isn't open. But I'm going to try and get the rest of the stuff packaged up tomorrow, which more than likely means it's not going to go out till Wednesday. But people waiting on books will be 7 to 10 days because they're all shipping out media mail. Everybody else that wants original artwork is waiting on original artwork. That stuff goes priority, so you get it in 1 to 3 days. So you should get your stuff either at the end of this week or early next week, or if you got a book, maybe by the middle or to the end of next week. So anyway, there you have it. I don't know when I'm going to be back live, probably sooner than later, depends, and what comes up. But it's been great. Tremendous 4 days, epic marathon of art. Again, appreciate everybody that joined me. We still have 18 people hanging on here this late at night, so that's cool. I appreciate it. Again, if you missed part of the video, go to YouTube or Facebook. You can check it out, the whole thing. Although I don't know who'd want to sit through 4 hours, but you can fast forward to the good parts if there is any. So anyway, thank you, everybody. Good night, everybody, and we'll see you next time. Boom.